Dak has struggled against every playoff team. He's 4-9. He's got 8 touchdowns and 9 picks. Last year, he was 1-7 against playoff teams with a passer rating of like 82. This offensive line now is getting older, not younger. And we've seen him without a left tackle, without a right guard, without a center for a month. He's not the same quarterback. Okay, I root for Dallas to be nimble. I want Dak to get paid, but this is why it was created. $33 million is closer to the number. It's not a slap in the face. I think you could make an argument the value of Dak at $33 million is still a little higher than I'd want. But it is significantly higher. It gets him a 3 in that first number, not a 2, and Dallas protects itself. But clearly Dallas has concerns because they've paid running backs 2 years early. They've paid linebackers a year and a half early, and they've got concerns. And I'll say it again, the New England loss on the road and that Philadelphia loss on the road, when Brady and Wentz, with scout team guys, with no tight ends, with significantly less, get a single scoring touchdown drive in either game with significantly better running backs, significantly better wide receivers, a significantly better offensive line. Couldn't get a scoring drive. That flight home from Foxborough, that flight home from Philadelphia with Jerry and Stephen Jones, you sit on that plane and think, we can't get a touchdown? 1? Now, if you think it's Jason Garrett's fault and Kellen Moore, what Dallas is saying here is, maybe you're not wrong. And I'm not sure you are wrong. Maybe it is all Jason Garrett. Maybe it is all Kellen Moore. I don't think it is, but I'll give you this. Maybe it's more them than Dak. The Cowboys are saying, all right, give us 1 year with McCarthy and we'll know the answer. And if Dak reverts back to his rookie Dak, we're all in. Because it wouldn't be, if Dak came out this year and was 10-6 and the numbers all go up, then you have a correlation between coach out, new coach in, numbers regain momentum. But the other thing Dallas has going for it, and this is a real thing, Tony Romo signed a deal, $17 million this weekend, to broadcast games. Once a Cowboy quarterback, you are paid for life. Who's our guy? Oh, Troy Aikman. Who'd he play for? Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, 7, 8, 9 years, win some playoff games. Tony Romo, never forget this. You all called him a choker. You all said he couldn't win the big game. Dak's winning percentage is higher than Tony Romo's. The bottom line here, Dallas has leverage. There's not a huge market. $33 million is not a slap in the face. And this is why the exclusive franchise tag was created, not the franchise tag. And I think Dallas could use that. Certainly they could. But this is more harmonious. I've been in 12 contract negotiations in my life. I've never felt like I wanted to walk out of the room and have won every single part of the contract. I like there to be balance. I like my companies to feel good about it too. I think at $33 million franchise tag for a year, it's not a slap in the face. It creates a Dallas team that can still be nimble, and let's come back in 1 year. All right, let me shift to this. LeBron was remarkable yesterday. He's been remarkable for, let me count here, 17 years. How is he not the MVP? He's not going to win it. Giannis is going to win it. Giannis is a better story. He's a good kid. We like him. He's fresh. He's new. We're fatigued on LeBron. I just laugh at this stuff. Let me ask you this. Do assists matter? You know, passing the ball to other people. LeBron leads the NBA. And he's passing to less talented people on average 1 through 9 than Giannis is. LeBron, as a forward, is going to lead the NBA in assists. Giannis is 29th, which is actually fairly low considering he's got some good shooters on that team. His team's more athletic. And frankly, he's double-teamed every time down the floor. Let me ask you this. LeBron James is the number 1 seed in the West, which is significantly better than being the number 1 seed Giannis in the East. Does that matter? And LeBron's doing it, in my opinion, with a less talented roster 1 through 8 or 9 than Milwaukee. How is he not the MVP? By the way, just look at how the primary rival for both players thinks of it. So the Clippers already had Kawhi, already had Paul George. elite wing defenders, top 2 or 3 in the league. Already had Patrick Beverley. And the Clippers are like, that's not enough. We're going to go out and get Marcus Morris. Because Kawhi's not enough, George is not enough, Patrick Beverley's not enough. We need a 4th guy to defend LeBron. How did the Celtics look at the Bucks' Giannis? Yeah, we know we're going to have to go through Giannis, but we're not really worried about size. We can get rid of Horford. We're going to go small ball east. Knowing they'll face Giannis, they got smaller. What does that tell you? Okay, this league has never run through Giannis. 7 years, 2 playoff series wins in the East. This league for 10 years has run through 2 groups, LeBron James and the Golden State Warriors. How is he not MVP? I mean, Alvin Gentry lost to him again last night and summed it up about as articulately, succinctly, and accurately as you can.
I'm just amazed that they talk about anybody other than him for MVP. You know, that's what he does. Every team that he's been to, every team that he's gone, have a chance to win the championship. I'm not sure what the definition of MVP is, but he makes everybody on his team better, and it makes it difficult for everybody playing.
Too often in the media, we root for what could happen instead of acknowledging what is happening. The Bucks are 5-1 this year without Giannis. The Lakers are unwatchable when LeBron's off the floor. People in LA start talking about Alex Caruso. Nice kid, but give me a break. LeBron last night on the floor plus 22. Takes a break, minus 14. This is when you give Westbrook the MVP. You're voting for what could happen. He's going to show Kevin Durant, and he's going to win. And this is, let's acknowledge that LeBron is dominating the league. The Clippers are getting a 4th person to defend him. Unlike the Celtics, who have decided, even though they face Giannis, we'll go small ball. We think we can do it. I don't know. I understand people in the media voting for stories, but it's at some point, I know you're all tired of LeBron. I'll tell you who's tired of LeBron, the Pelicans. He's 4-0 this year, just like he never lost a first-round playoff series like for 8 years in the East in succession. I mean, watch what's happening, not what could happen. LeBron's your MVP again, and will be overlooked again. Coming up next, I'm telling you, folks, this Zion thing is real. Did we get a hint where Tom Brady is going? And 45 minutes from now, I think it's our best one ever, Colin right, Colin wrong on a Monday. It's a really good one today. Stick around. Over 50 years ago, 2 men with passion. They had a love for engineering and a love for motorsports. They started building race engines in an old mill. Every wide-open road was an opportunity. Every curve was an invitation. Wanted to push the envelope, break the rules. Also a chance to prove that a 2-ton family sedan could have the performance to compete in 24-hour track races. Wasn't just about shocking the competition. They had a vision of excellence they had created and wanted to build on it. This engineering company continued to validate their belief by putting race car engines in luxury sedans and crushing it. Winning, stunning the elite in world motor racing by winning time and again. Hey, we may never truly understand what drives Mercedes-AMG to break barriers, along with every record in the book, but here's to allowing us to enjoy the results. Learn more at mbusa.com/AMG. Mercedes-AMG. Driving performance. hear a lot of this about Tua. Well, college guys that get hurt, they always get hurt in the NFL. Let me ask you, do you think the Philadelphia Eagles regret signing Carson Wentz, who was hurt in college? Do you think the Houston Texans regret drafting Deshaun Watson, who was hurt in college? I don't. This idea, you're looking for a perfect quarterback. They don't exist. They don't exist. If you're the Chargers, if you're the Dolphins, if you're the Colts, let me ask you them. Is Tua better than the guy you got? Boom, I'm in. I draft him. I go 3-4 years on him. By year 2 or 3, if he's all banged up, I draft somebody else. But this kid's a once-in-a-life. Have you ever seen his college stats? 22-2. Well, that's Alabama. 87 touchdowns, 11 picks. 69% completion rate. He got better every year. Leadership, coachable. I've never seen college stats like this. 87 touchdowns and 11 picks. That's like video game crap. And that's in the SEC, which easily has the best defenses in college football. I mean, it's the only conference where you got 7 NFL guys every Saturday on defense. He ate it alive. He got better every year. Andrew Luck and John Elway are the only college quarterbacks in my life that came out, and I couldn't nitpick them. I mean, but about the only 2 guys you're like smart, big arm, work hard, coachable, can move a little bit. That's it. 2 guys, history of my life, 4 decades of watching the NFL draft. 2 quarterbacks. Who gives a rip if a guy is hurt in college? Is he going to add juice to your franchise? So whenever I hear about this, well, you know, he got hurt in college. It's football. After week 4, everybody's banged up. But hey, you're telling me the Chargers, Tua's not going to change the franchise? I think you're nuts. He's my number 1 pick. He's special. I've never seen a college quarterback with numbers like his, ever. And he did it in the SEC. It's great to have you in on a Monday. Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and auto insurance. Go to geico.com. It's easy. Chris Broussard, Jeff Schwartz, Jane Slater, TJ Hushman's out of top of the hour, 40 minutes away or less. Colin right, Colin wrong. Joy Taylor joining me. Herdline News around the corner. So Zion is amazing, and I love Zion. And, a lot of people, all the haters now are coming in. Oh, I always told you he was. No, you told us he couldn't shoot. You told us he needed to lose weight. And there was one host who loved him and did not pick him apart. Me and Joy. We loved him. What's amazing about Zion to me, of the many things, in the late 70s, when I started watching the NBA, it was kind of a mess. You had a lot of bad franchises. Before David Stern was commissioner, there was drug use all over the league. And it's not like the league didn't have good players. I mean, you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the league. But then Magic Johnson arrived in 1978-79, and he was the perfect antidote to what ailed the NBA, the problems of the NBA. He was fun. He was joyful. He was the smile. It was just his style of play was cool. Without trying to be. He was perfect. And he went to this big Laker brand. And suddenly, when you thought about the NBA, it put a smile on your face. The nickname Magic, his big smile. Even Larry Bird respected him. Like his rivals loved him. He was just so joyful. There's never quite been a player introduced to the NBA, not even Michael, like Magic Johnson, a 6'9.5" point guard, when the average point guard was 6'1.5". When MJ left, similarly, the face of the league, you had Duncan, who was kind of boring but a nice guy, and then you had guys like Iverson and Marbury who didn't connect with kind of the mainstream fans. It matters who the face of your league is, especially in the NBA, which has been historically a star-driven league. In the early 70s, they didn't really have a connectable face to the league. I was a Dr. J fan, but he'd come from the ABA. I didn't follow him in college. I didn't know much about him. This is where Zion is just magnetic. Zion is the perfect post-LeBron player. Like Magic, just do word association. Think about the words. Dynamic, athletic, explosive, Duke, exploding shoe, smile. He's everything. He doesn't look like anybody else. And that's a thing. Luka Doncic is great, but there's been a lot of guys that can drop 28 a night. And there's a lot of guys in the NBA right now that can drop 27, 28 a night. None of them look or play like Zion. He is so unique, and most of the great players have been unique. The face of the league, Michael. Michael is the most relentless player and the greatest scorer I've ever seen post-Wilt. Magic was a 6'9.5" point guard. Shaq was the biggest guy in the league, but ran the floor like a 2 guard. Larry Bird, people forget this. When Larry Bird came into the NBA, people forget this. There'd never been a forward. It was always guards. There'd never been a forward. You're like, oh, yeah, the best shooter in the league is 6'9.5", and I think after Magic, he's the best passer in the league. That's not what forwards did. They rebounded. They got into fights. They didn't shoot like Larry Bird. Then there's Steph Curry, the best shooter in the history of the planet. Then there's LeBron, the Swiss Army knife, 6'9.5", never gets hurt, handles the ball like that, probably the best passer in the league. Unique matters. Unique matters. I mean, there's nothing else out there like Russell Wilson. There's nothing else out there like Lamar Jackson. There's nothing else out there like Patrick Mahomes. Hard to find even a prototype. And I think Zion is perfect. You know, when Michael Jordan left, the league lost 50% of its ratings. There was nobody to hand the baton to. When Tiger Woods left, I like Phil Mickelson, but there was nobody to really hand the baton to. Zion's it. Cross your fingers on his health. That's it. And it's interesting about it. I always try to watch sports like a consumer because you're my audience and you're a consumer. So I don't want to watch the game like I'm a scout, like I'm an analyst, like I'm a coach, like I'm a broadcaster. I want to watch it like I'm a fan. When I go to games, I sit with fans. I don't sit in the press box. I want to hear your conversations. Zion gets me to a TV. Trae Young's good, doesn't get me to a TV. Luka's great, doesn't get me to a TV. Zion is Magic Johnson. When Sean Kemp came into this league, you were like, have you seen, you know, I'm a Seattle kid. Like, everybody was like, have you seen this guy from Elkhart, Indiana, or wherever he's from? Have you seen Sean Kemp? He's going to tear down the rim. Have you seen Shaq? I mean, I remember bumping into the late Jerry Tarkanian. He goes, there's a kid down in Louisiana named Shaquille O'Neal. He'll change basketball. And I said, what's he like? And I never forget this. Tark says, like nothing I've ever seen. Zion is mostly like nothing I've ever seen. Yesterday, I have his numbers here somewhere. I'll probably find him. Oh, yeah. He's averaging, this is an interesting stat. He's averaging 1 dribble per touch. Now, think about that. That's not the NBA. You know somebody is talented when they go opposite of their industry. Everything now in the NBA is get the ball to the star, a lot of dribbles, ball-centric, they control, and you got to shoot threes. And you got to be lean. He's the opposite. There's no lean. He doesn't shoot threes, and he doesn't dribble. And he's dominating. When you can dominate an industry, going into the wind of the industry, you are incredibly special. Here's Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Well, Washington's interest in Tua this year continues to grow. Ron Rivera met with Tua at the Combine and reportedly told him they may draft him with the 2nd pick. Sources say Washington's not confident that Dwayne Haskins is the guy right now and would want to bring in Tua to compete with him for the starting job.
I'm very happy.
Now, interesting.
Favorite story of the year.
Where this report is coming from.
Where?
South Florida Sun-Sentinel.
Well, now, that's interesting. That's a paper in Miami. So why would it come from there?
Well, because they either want to take Tua at 2 or they want the Dolphins to think that they're going to take Tua at 2.
Either way is smart.
Right. Which is what I don't understand what Detroit is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this should be the same. They should be having the exact same conversation. Now, again, that kind of flies in the face of my theory that if you have a guy that you like, that you should be 100% behind him in Matthew Stafford. But I don't think that Matthew Stafford is the guy. So this is a situation where if you're Detroit, you'd probably want to be doing the same thing.
I used to work at a company, I think they're still around, where they didn't have any real interest in the Olympics. It was just too overwhelming for staffing. But they liked every other network, especially NBC, to think they wanted the Olympics to drive up the price. Even if I liked Tua but wasn't going to draft him, it doesn't hurt my organization for you to think I love him, not like him.
The Dolphins have a ton of draft picks. Everyone knows they're taking a quarterback. So if that's the guy that you... And listen, we don't really know which way any of these teams are going on quarterbacks. But if you like Tua, and that's a possibility, you're going to need to make a big move. And speaking of that, Utah State quarterback Jordan Love has been getting a lot of buzz after his performance at the Combine. He had such a strong showing in his workouts that there's increasing talk he could be the third best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah.
And this is why the Combine is so interesting every year, because for the top prospects, it's not really something that they participate in. Chase Young, Joe Burrow, but for guys like Jordan Love, can raise your draft stock. And he could even be reportedly the Dolphins pick at number 5 if both Burrow and Tua are off the board, which we are assuming that they are going to be off the board. Remember like maybe like a month ago or something, Tua was going to like drop out of the first round?
Yeah, I remember those stories. And how did you and I react to those?
It's nonsense.
It was complete and utter nonsense.
I mean, now we're talking about the Dolphins like giving up multiple picks to move up in the draft and to get Tua, but he was going to fall out of the first round. Anyway, Love has been drawing some comparisons to Patrick Mahomes for his athleticism and throwing ability. And he agrees that he would compare his style of play to Mahomes. I actually do see a little bit of Mahomes. Obviously, Mahomes is otherworld talented.
Okay.
No one's saying he is Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick had a lot of raw talent. What we're seeing from Patrick now is not what was going on in the draft. You remember Patrick went 10th.
Yeah.
So for everyone like all these smarts about like knowing what Patrick Mahomes was going to become.
Yeah. Here's what an NFL general manager told me this weekend via text. He said, there's a lot of stories out there. And the GM said to me, I like Jordan Love, but can you guys in the media at least acknowledge his film last year was terrible? To that I said, but it was way better a year earlier when he had support.
So I don't think anybody isn't acknowledging that. I think you said that many, many times that this last year was not.
It was not good.
He was not good.
His mechanics eroded. He was loose.
But there was also a lot of reasons for that.
That's right.
Not excuses, but there's a difference between excuses and reasons.
Okay, of course there are. And I like him. I think he's a first. I'm all in on Jordan Love. I would not make him my first pick because there are some questions. But if you're looking at the current style of the league, that's with the right coach. That's what it is.
Well, that's the point. Like, it depends on where he goes because he is raw and he did have bad tape last year. So where he goes definitely is going to play a role in whether he's successful or not, or whether he can develop or not. But I don't think anyone is ignoring this past year. That's the reason why we hadn't been talking about him as a high draft pick until now is because of the tape last year. But there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback.
You give him that Indianapolis Colts O-line. I don't know.
He goes to the right situation. Yeah, that's going to determine his success. And he goes to the Colts, and they sign Phillip Rivers for a year. He sits behind Phillip Rivers.
Thank you.
It's the right situation that's going to determine what happens with his career. Finally, the Lakers waived Troy Daniels on Sunday, opening up a roster spot, and they already have plans to meet with a couple veteran players. The Lakers will reportedly work out Dion Waiters today and J.R. Smith later this week. JR hasn't played since November of 2018. He was waived by the Cavs last summer, and Waiters played in 3 games this season.
I think at least the Lakers are acknowledging what they need, and I think this is a real thing. That's why I think Reggie Jackson could have worked. They need Dion Waiters would be a really nice fit. Somebody off the bench who can hit a jumper. That's what they need.
I mean, either one of the J.R. Smith's obviously played with LeBron for a long time, so we know what J.R. Smith is. I think Dion Waiters is more of a question mark just because we really don't know what happens in Miami.
Yeah.
So and listen, I like Dion Waiters. I think he's a playmaker. He's not being brought in to be a starter. He's a role player, and
he's talented.
He is. So I'm interested to see which way they go with this, but. You know, they have to make some move because they waived Troy Daniels.
Yeah. Joy of the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
There is going to be a lot of arguing that's going to ensue over the next 10 minutes. He's the voice of NBA on our network. He is Chris Broussard, New York Times, former Cavs beat writer, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And Broussard always looks like he should be driving one, a well-appointed man. Okay, I'm just going to throw a couple things out here. The Clippers had Kawhi Leonard and had Paul George and Patrick Beverley. But the Clippers told you, that ain't enough. We're going to go get Marcus Morris. We want a 4th guy on LeBron. That is the ultimate respect. We got the 2 best wing defenders in the league. Klay Thompson, when he's healthy, could be a 3rd. We're going to go get Marcus Morris. The Celtics, who are the Bucks' primary rival, knowing they're going to go through Giannis, we're going to go small. We're going to go smaller. Isn't that telling you the fear of facing LeBron, and yet the acknowledgement that Giannis is great, but 7 years, 2 playoff series win. We can win if Giannis scores 38.
The Clippers know LeBron is awesome.
Yeah.
They have no fear of him. Absolutely none.
None. Zero.
They're a franchise that has never won a championship, and they're trying desperately to get everything they need. Over-trying. They're trying. They have not too much. You can never have too much, but they didn't need Reggie Jackson. He's nice to have, but they didn't need him. They're going to get everything and also doing what in the process? Keeping him away from the Lakers.
Now, with Reggie Jackson, I get that. Marcus Morris,
the Lakers wanted him, and they kept him away from the Lakers.
Yeah, and by the way, 8 minutes a night, can you play? Can you go guard LeBron?
I also think this.
Because LeBron's my MVP. You're all in on Giannis.
Yeah, look, LeBron is having a phenomenal season.
I think phenomenal's understated.
The greatest 17th season we've ever seen. He's going to lead the league in assists. No one has ever led the league in points, rebounds, or assists in their 17th year. John Stockton, who was the all-time leader in assists, he never led the league after his 12th season in assists. So for LeBron to go to an entirely new position, he is having a great year, but it is so clear cut that Giannis is the MVP.
Bucks are 5-1 when he hasn't played.
And so the Lakers got demolished, a couple nights ago by Memphis with LeBron.
Well, he's like 30. He's 76 years old.
I'm a voter. I've been voting for 25 years. Here are 3 main criteria.
Oh, okay, I want to hear this. 3 main criteria from a voter.
Yes. Individual stats. Okay.
That's your number one?
No, not in this order, but that's a big part of it. You're not going to win MVP averaging 12 points a game.
Okay.
Okay, so individual stats. Giannis has LeBron beating the traditional numbers, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists a game, to LeBron's 25, 11, and 8. And Giannis is shooting 55%, LeBron 49%. So he's got him beat there.
Against the weaker East, but continue on.
We never held that against LeBron when he was in the East. All right, with the analytic numbers. Giannis has the highest PER, player efficiency rating, in history.
Sounds like stats.
Higher than Wilt ever did. Higher than Jordan ever had. Higher than LeBron ever had. The highest in history. LeBron is actually second in PER on his own team.
Okay, so
he's around 10th in the league.
Your first two are all about
individual
stats.
numbers. Okay, he's got him beating the individual numbers. Team success. Let me even go here first. Giannis is arguably the best defensive player in the league.
Yeah, but we don't give it to Darnell Valentine.
But my point
MVP.
is that he's doing it offensively with all the numbers, and then defensively, he's arguably the best defensive player as well, best defender on the best defensive team. So he's got LeBron beat on those 2 categories. Team success. They're going to win. They're on pace to win 71 games. The only 2 teams to win more than that ever, Golden State in 2016, the Bulls in 96. The Bulls had 3 Hall of Famers. The Warriors had at least 2 in Clay and Steph, and probably 3 if you throw in Draymond. He may make the Hall of Fame. He's got Chris Middleton. With all due respect to Chris Middleton, who's a nice all-star, he has no second star. And they're winning at an all-time high pace. They're winning by almost 13 points a game, higher than any team in history.
Didn't they do that last year? They were crushing people.
Not what they're doing now, 12.8. That's higher than Kareem and Oscar, Kareem and Magic, Jordan and Pippen. All these guys ever did. He doesn't have a second star. LeBron is playing great, but he's got AD with him. That counts. And AD leads the team in PER.
Let me ask you this.
It's not even close. And LeBron's playing great. He might win it other years. It's not close.
Time out. What's the number one asset to have in basketball in America today? The number one asset? Shoot.
Right.
Who's a better shooter?
Okay, LeBron's a better. But LeBron's not a great shooter.
Well, he's a better of these 2 you're telling me.
He's better than Giannis,
okay,
but
now,
he's not a
what's the
great
second
shooter.
best? What's the second best talent in basketball after shooting is getting the ball to shooters.
Giannis can do that, not to the level of LeBron, but he can do it.
A lot of qualifiers in that sentence. Seems to me I got the better shooter and the better passer in the better conference with less overall talent.
James Harden is a better shooter than LeBron.
Well,
he's not as good of a passer, but he's a very good passer. Does that mean he's the MVP?
You guys have Harden up for MVP every year, and he plays defense worse than a bar stool.
He's in the conversation. LeBron's second. I'll give you that. But I would love the better storyline, the sexier, more romantic storyline is LeBron in his 17th year, with some calling him the washed king. The tragic passing of Kobe. He carries the Lakers and wins the MVP. That is it. But my job as a voter is not to look at storylines. It's not to factor in, it's his 17th year and he's doing this. No, my job is to say what guy has been the best this season.
Have you watched the Lakers?
And it's been Giannis.
You seen the Lakers when he leaves the floor?
All of LeBron's
people
teams
start panting over Alex Caruso.
LeBron-centric.
Yeah, that's because he's great.
It is. It is. Like, I think other players defer to him
They should.
because in practice every day and games they see how great he is. But that can take away from the team. They got some guys that can make plays. And when he doesn't play a game, you see who they beat. They just beat somebody without LeBron.
I watched that game last night. LeBron go to the bench. And
Did you watch the game before last night?
Yes, I did.
Milwaukee and Charlotte, when Giannis had 41 and 20.
Charlotte is a college
and
team.
the team scored 93 points. Oh,
Duke is better than Charlotte.
stop it. You know, look, I'm with you. It'd be great. I would love for LeBron to win his 5th MVP.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But I'm objective.
You're like Whitlock. Whitlock is the classic, I love LeBron, but.
No, I'm objective. It's Giannis. It is Giannis, man. There's no question.
I'm not going to move you off that old thing.
They can win 70-something games.
Okay, don't go anywhere because we got a bunch to talk about. Joy and I loved Zion when he was 12. The rest of you guys are all jumping on the bandwagon. So some Zion love, and also, I got to be honest about Westbrook.
Oh, you coming around? Icon.
I'm going to say, come on.
I was the first to tell you he's going to be an icon.
Well, just anyway.
30 years from now, you'll be talking about him on the herd.
I'm going to say something I've never said about Westbrook. I'm going to say it next.
Can't wait.
All right, guys, it's never a good look when you wear that long and bulky dress shirt. Don't get me wrong, I don't like the tuck stuff in either, but I want it to look like it's built to be worn untucked. And that's why Untuck It found a hole in the market years ago and said, does anybody out there just design shirts to be worn untucked? They do. It's a casual shirt, not too long, not too short. Tall, short, thin, wide, doesn't matter. It's casual, but yet it can be dressy. GQ magazine called it perfection. They offer 50 fit combinations, tall, short, slim, and big. Perfect fitting shirt. Untuckit.com. The promo code is HERD for 20% off your entire first purchase. You can visit one of Untuckit's over 80 retail locations across the country. Stop hiding your shirt with your pants and your pants with your shirt. Go to Untuckit.com and the code is HERD. Now, I'm 6'2", and they fit perfectly. A Goulet is, what are you, Goulet? 6'4", and it fits perfectly. Tui. Greg, how tall are you? Not on your best day. I'm not talking about standing on a chair. Tui, what you're about, and it looks great on Tui. Untuckit.com. It is great to have you back. Colin right, Colin wrong in 15 minutes. Plenty of both. And Chris Broussard is joining us, sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. So Zion there's a joy to him and there's a passion. I was reading something this weekend where if you are a passionate person, it's hard to meet somebody who's got great energy and passion. And you shake your hand, you meet them. It's contagious. You can feel it. It's hard to be like dour and down when somebody comes up and gives you a big handshake, very positive. You feel like you have to meet them.
Right.
There's a joy and a passion and an energy to Zion and a youthfulness. I can't take my eyes off him. I don't know what to compare him to. Physically, he reminds me of Sean Kemp, where for about 2 to 3 years, you didn't know what to make of this guy that could jump out of the gym, 6'9", all elbows, knees flying. It was like, watch out below. What do you make of what we're seeing with Zion?
It's unbelievable. I mean, even the biggest Zion detractors, and I talked to people in the league who, a lot of guys obviously really liked him. There were guys that thought, he settles into being a third or fourth guy, really. Because, he's different from most of the guys today in that he doesn't need the ball to score a lot of points. So they're thinking, can I give him the ball on the perimeter and him just go get me a bucket? No, he's not like that. Can he shoot it? No, he's not like that. But now just about everybody has had to come along that I've talked to and seen how great this guy is.
Giannis is the only guy that slowed him down.
Right, exactly. I mean, nobody else has been able to slow him down. He's perfectly built for today's game because the floor is spread out. Big men who are defenders, you don't have, like Rudy Gobert, who's big, he's tall.
But he's not that quick.
No, he's not that quick, and he's not like huge.
Stout.
Like a Patrick Ewing, a Shaquille O'Neal, an Elijah Wan.
It's a lean cardio Euro league.
Yeah, and nobody can handle his power and his explosion. And a lot of times he's single covered in the post because the floor is so spread. So he's got the game. He's marketable. I don't see the charisma yet. Now, he's only 19.
Right.
He may be shy at this point and grow into it.
But, I'll throw something that's crazy. When I got into this business, you had Stern and Imus and Oprah. And one of the reasons I didn't create the Colin Cowherd show, I looked around and I'm like, if you look at all the people, they had a singular name. Maddow, Hannity, it's still today. Madonna.
Right.
Messi, Kobe, Shaq, Beyonce. Is that Zion and just stop? We don't have a lot of Z's. There is something to be said about the body Zion, like Zorro. It's just, there's that to me. You don't have to be Magic Johnson, the entertainer, to have impact in personality.
Well, and what you'll see, whether it's Magic or LeBron, they have that charisma, that personality. Michael Jordan didn't necessarily have that.
He didn't.
And so in the marketing, it wasn't Jordan talking a lot all the time. It was flying through the air, come fly with me,
right.
Be like Mike.
Good point.
And he's with Jordan Brand, Zion, obviously. I think the marketing will be similar. It'll be, we love his game, we love his energy, we love his smile, but we'll kind of create the narrative around it.
Larry Bird was grumpy.
Yeah.
Larry Bird was grumpy, and teammates didn't like MJ. You can make grumpy into great marketing because they did it with Magic and Bird.
Right.
Okay, Russell Westbrook.
I want to hear this.
Okay. What was said about Westbrook? League's best athlete, but the league moved away from him. He's an athlete, and when he walked into the league, it was becoming a shooter's league. So they go to this small ball thing. This is the best I've ever seen Westbrook. His assists are almost half of what they were in his MVP year, and his rebounds are 30% less. I could have those reversed. It's not the stats. The league now, because it went so three ball, is now adopting something called small ball. Boston's doing it. Houston's doing it. And the league's trying to catch up this year. It's almost like the Ravens offense. Everybody's trying to catch up in the middle of the season to Houston small ball. Right. It's weird. It's different. Nobody else plays it. They walk into your town. You haven't seen a bunch of film. You played last night, and Houston devours you. This is the Westbrook I love. This Westbrook this is what I was seeing Westbrook. It's not about stats. The stat I know is Houston.
Stats are still phenomenal.
But here's what they are. They're smarter. They translate to the playoffs. They play toward his game, which is a driver and a scorer. This Westbrook the 3-ball was never his game, and he just couldn't stop shooting them. In January, he was shooting 6. When I watch this Westbrook, I'm like, oh, this is a handful. Because, by the way, the guys that have to guard him now, the bigs, and with small ball,
right.
None of these guys can come close. He's a dribble, and he's past him. This Westbrook, I'm into this Westbrook.
Here's the thing, and I think Westbrook would admit this and say this. He hasn't changed one iota. He hasn't. He's just been put in a different situation. He's been put in a better situation for him. Like, where does Steph Curry go from under Mark Jackson? He was an all-star, played well, they won some games. Steve Kerr put Steph Curry in the ideal system for Steph, and he becomes an all-time great. Some people think a top 10 player of all time. It was the system. Steve Nash, same thing. He goes from Dallas, where he's kind of a little bit on the downward slide the last year there. He goes into a perfect system for himself.
And he was the MVP
and becomes
of the league.
This, all-time great. So it's about the system. This is the first time Russell Westbrook's ever had a wide open lane.
Yep.
So with Steven Adams in OKC or Clint Capella in Houston, the lane's not as open. The driving lanes aren't as big. You had to take some threes, especially in their offense. Now he doesn't have to take threes at all.
At all.
And he can drive to the lane. He hasn't changed a bit. He's just got more opportunities to do what he does best. And I tell you, it's a few things. This backcourt, I've always said, or lately, the best backcourt all time, Steph and Clay. And then I go with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. If these guys stay together, this is an all-time great backcourt.
They're offensively, no question. They don't do much on the defensive end, but the other backcourts, West and Goodrich, Jerry played real defense. Goodrich, not so much. Clay plays real defense, Steph and Clay. Joe Dumars played great defense.
He was great. And Isaiah was tough.
Yeah, I'd like to have one of these guys actually acknowledge there's a defensive end of the floor. Would be nice.
Westbrook acknowledges it. In passing, but they're dangerous. Now, I don't think they beat one of the LA teams.
But I'll just say
give them more than a puncher's chance.
Here's the other thing. Joy and I talked a lot about this during the NFL season, and this happened with Cam Newton in Carolina. When you generally in the NFL, you give people a year to figure out the Wildcat, and they will.
Right.
But when the Wildcat got adopted in a season, people were bailing water. Nobody knew how to defend it. This small ball thing came in about 10, 12 games ago. And remember, the NBA regular season is not evenly rested. I can be Utah. I played the night before. My guys drag in for a shoot-around, don't pay attention. They watch an hour of film as they're putting their shoes on. Hey, guys, Now, in the playoffs, when we have equal rest and prep time, it may be different. But in the regular season, this is a handful.
You know something else to watch, and I am not predicting a problem here because I know they're very close. James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
But since they've gone small, Russell Westbrook's been the leading scorer.
And reportedly is the locker room leader. He's more vocal.
Yeah, he is more vocal than and Russ, I mean, his ex-teammates love playing with him. They'll tell you, like, he's loyal, all that. And that he exudes loyalty, and we're a team. But I wonder, Harden's been used to being the man now for how many years?
He needs to get over that.
It's going to, they're now a two-leader team.
Yeah.
It's great.
Chris Broussard, very good stuff. Excellent. He rebounded after that bad Giannis take. The herd. in Los Angeles. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Colin right, Colin wrong in about 90 seconds. It is absolutely great to have you in today. Joy Taylor is joining me as always. We had a robust first hour. I watched a lot of NFL Combine and a lot of NBA this weekend. I watched a little MLS. Congratulations to Miami.
Yes.
And Nashville, two great American cities that I don't know how much Nashville you've done. You know, Joy's...
I've been to Nashville once.
Yeah, Nashville's a great emerging American...
Great food.
Great food, great music. Miami's one of my favorite cities in America. Both introduced MLS teams. I did not see the Miami crowds. I saw the Nashville crowds. They were crazy town.
Well, it was in L.A.
Miami opened in L.A. Okay, so that's the game I saw highlights of last night.
So there were some fans there, but obviously we know what the LAFC
they're very
crowd
successful.
is like.
Can't get a ticket to those. So it's
very
great.
Excited for Miami.
Great. Congrats to Nashville and Miami and the MLS. So, I have a lot of opinions. I am wrong, mostly hopefully right. But when I'm wrong, I think I have to be held accountable. You would like me to be held accountable. So we created a segment, I don't know when I started doing this thing, about a decade ago, Colin right, Colin wrong on Mondays. And here we go.
Where Colin was right.
Looks like the Cowboys are going to do what we predicted, an exclusive franchise tag. Now, the exclusive franchise tag means, listen, Dak, we like you. We're going to get pretty close to the number, $33 million. It's not a franchise tag, which is a little more slap in the face. We're going to do the exclusive franchise tag, but we do have concerns. You've struggled against good teams. When you've missed an offensive lineman, you have not been the quarterback we need. And that Carson Wentz, Tom Brady games, when all of your weapons and you couldn't get a touchdown. So listen, this is what the exclusive franchise tag and the franchise tag are created for. You like somebody, you don't want him negotiating with other teams, but you've had a coaching change and you do have concerns, so you want to be nimble. Let's give him 1 year under Mike McCarthy. And my feeling is if McCarthy and Dak work, Dallas will sign him to a longer-term deal. This is the deal we predicted. This is the deal that makes sense in our opinion.
Where Colin was wrong.
I gave the Lakers a lot of credit when Kawhi and Paul George signed with the Clippers. I thought the Lakers did a very good job to assemble some nice, different used parts. I got to be honest, this team is completely LeBron-driven. I mean, I like AD. I don't think he'll remain healthy for an entire playoff run, but LeBron and the Lakers are unbeaten when he scores 30 points or more. When he's between 20 and 29 points, they're 20-6. When he's under 20, they're 5-6. Bottom line is LeBron has to play really, really great basketball for them to win. I like Kyle Kuzma. I don't think you should trade him, but, yesterday, KCP and Kuzma, you can't trust them in big spots. The Lakers did maybe the best they could do, but I think I've overstated the help LeBron has. Last night, without AD, it's LeBron. He takes a breather. Impossible to watch.
Where Colin was right.
Oh, all these Zion fanboys are now, they all had amnesia. Notice that? He can't shoot. He's too heavy. We were on Zion from day one. We didn't think he had to lose a ton of weight. He's had 3 30-point games in his first 16. He had 35 yesterday on only 16 shots. We nailed it. We said, rolling out of bed, he's going to be a top 20, 25 player in the NBA somewhere at the end of his first year, beginning of his second. His growth has been faster. His scoring's been better than I thought. But the idea that he has to be a great shooter is nonsense. You don't have to be a great shooter if you're unstoppable physically down low. Is Embiid a great shooter? Is Anthony Davis a great shooter? Is Giannis a great shooter? It's a bunch of nonsense. And I don't buy into that he has to lose major weight. I do think 270 is better than 295. But all the critics of him now suddenly have disappeared or have amnesia. We nailed it. This is what we thought he would be.
Where Colin was wrong.
Since the Clint Capella trade, the Rockets are 7-2. I just didn't think you could win a bunch of games in the NBA being this small. They have, and Westbrook's been sensational. This team, since Capella got traded, has beaten the Lakers. It's beaten the Jazz. It's beaten the Celtics twice. They're not going through the dregs of the NBA. The rest of the NBA now is trying to figure this thing out. Westbrook is shooting fewer threes than ever. This is a problem. This backcourt is now a problem because they're so small that your big has to guard one of these smaller, more athletic players. I did not think Houston would figure it out this quickly, and I did not think it would be this big of a problem for their opponents. I was wrong.
Where Colin was right.
Tom Brady got caught this weekend with Julian Edelman. Somebody took a video of them FaceTiming Mike Vrabel. Yes, Tennessee appears to be the one team Brady is most interested in. We've said before, it's New England, it's Tennessee, and then it's nonsense. I do think Dallas would just, the world would implode, but that does give you a glimpse that Edelman was saying, you're coming back, and Tom was smiling, and I still think that's the answer. And the second one was a Mike Vrabel FaceTime appearance. That is the one team I believe New England could look over and think, no, I get it. The GM's a Patriot. The coach is a Patriot. They've got a star running game, good, better than average offensive line, and they can play a little defense.
Where Colin was wrong.
The Clippers defense to me is a head scratcher. If you told me I got this team, I got Marcus Morris, I got Kawhi Leonard, I got Paul George, I got Patrick Beverly, I'd be like, oh, that's the best defensive team in the league. That's the Clippers, and they're rated 13th. Their offense has been spectacular. They've got a lot of guys that can get a bucket, but defensively, maybe it's rotation, but points allowed, they're 13th. Opponent three-point percentage, 18th. Steals, blocks, they're 18th. They're just not as good as I thought. Now, is some of it they've been injured, and some of their better defensive player, Paul George has had injuries, Beverly's missed games, Kawhi has missed many games. It could be because their best defensive players have been out. But when I looked at this thing, I thought, oh, defensively, they'll be great early. Offensively, it'll take a while to figure it out. But defensively, they'll seal and button this puppy up quick. They have not. They are still, literally the other night, Philadelphia had 71 points at half without Embiid or Simmons. I can't explain that.
Where Colin was right.
The Chicago Bears are thinking about bringing Andy Dalton in. Why? Because they've got concerns about Mitch Trubisky. 7 times last year, Trubisky had no touchdowns. That's with Matt Nagy, one of the sharpest, shrewdest, Matt Nagy to me is Kyle Shanahan in the Midwest. 7 times they didn't have a touchdown. By the way, he's 19-10 the last 2 years, and they're bringing in help. Why? Because if he struggles early, they can go to an Andy Dalton or a backup. Chicago, stop being defensive. The fan base in Chicago gets all freaked out. You watch Mahomes, you watch Lamar, you watch Russell Wilson, you watch Carson Wentz. Do you see that? No. This is what we've said. Long term, he is not the guy to build around. Short term, you give him one more year, but you bring in somebody when he erodes, and he will.
Where Colin was wrong.
All right, Andy Dalton. Apparently, there's 4 different teams interested in Andy Dalton. Looks like beige is the color of the season. I've never been a Dalton fan, but he is stable. He made the playoffs 5 straight years. He's a pro. You get a grown-up. He's not highly emotional. Miami has been mentioned. And by the way, the smarter teams in the league, the Colts have been mentioned. New England's been mentioned. The Bears and Miami have all been mentioned for Andy Dalton. He was never my, cup of tea. But there is something to be said. His price right now, and I've said this about Cam, you get to a point where his price is so reasonable, it's a discount. So Andy Dalton's got much more of a pulse on the market than I predicted.
Where Colin was right.
All right, I got a lot of heat almost 1 year ago today when I said there is no way. I'll let you hear what I said about the proposed Jason Tatum for Anthony Davis trade rumors a year ago, which I said, no way I'm doing that. There is no way in the world when I hear all these trade rumors about Jason Tatum of the Celtics, a 20-year-old kid that is not even close to his ceiling, getting traded for Anthony Davis, pass. And I like Anthony Davis. He's at close to his ceiling. I like it. But I'll take Jason Tatum, and I'll go against what every NBA expert and analytic whiz tells you. I am never trading that kid. He's what you're praying for when you win ping pong balls in the lottery. That's funny. Jason Tatum is now the next emerging superstar in the NBA. I don't know why I'm not an NBA scout, seriously. Shot 50% in February, Joy. 48% from threes. 8.5 rebounds. A willing defender. I like Anthony Davis. We do this every time. We pick apart these young kids. We just eat them alive. Jason Tatum is long, can put it in the deck, can defend, can shoot a three, can drive. He's athletic. He's coachable. I like Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis, there's injuries. I don't think he has sort of that kind of leader DNA. I think he's just a great player DNA, 25 and 10 a night. I got more heat for saying this. And today, Jason Tatum, there are not a lot of stars in this league. You're going to trade for Jason Tatum if it's a 10-year window. The kid is special.
Where Colin was right and wrong.
All right, this is weird. Tua is rumored to go number 2 to Washington now. And I just laughed, so did Joy, at the talk 4 months ago that Tua's going to fall in the draft. We're like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So we're right about Tua. But I would be wrong about Dwayne Haskins, who I thought should have been a number 1 or number 2 pick. Haskins is big. He was tall. He was accurate. I didn't think he was perfect. He's not overly mobile, and he's not a good thrower when he leaves his comfort zone of the pocket. I was wrong on this. I don't see a ton with Dwayne Haskins. I don't. I think he's turnover prone. I think he's overwhelmed. The things I hear in the locker room, he's not kind of, the work ethic's been marginal. And there's a story today that Ron Rivera likes Tua. So I was right on Tua, but I'm wrong on Dwayne Haskins. I thought if I had a number 1 pick last year, big, tall, accurate, played in a major conference, I didn't think I thought he was a little bit like Jacob Eason, but more talented, that there's something there, but I didn't think he was quite ready to play. But through 7 games, I haven't seen it. And I just think I'm wrong on Dwayne Haskins. It's not the end of the world. I mean, a lot of people drafted Johnny Manziel and Tebow, and I didn't like either of them. But calling right and wrong on the same player. Boy, it's good to have you in today. It really is. Happy to have you in. Jeff Schwartz is coming up. NFL Combine this weekend. My takeaway, big guys are getting faster. My God, these offensive linemen now are freight trains. Receivers have always jumped and been fast. Quarterbacks have always had good arms. I don't even know what I'm seeing with these offensive linemen. These guys are 3.29 and running 5 flats.
Yeah, all these guys are so athletic now.
It's incredible how fast these guys are. That and we got some things that could be breaking today. That's coming up. Still early in the year. But if you run a small business, 2020 could fly by. That's why you should use LegalZoom now to make sure you're set up for success. Over the past 19 years, LegalZoom has helped more than 2 million Americans start a business, incorporate, S-Corp, LLC, and more. But even after your business is set up, LegalZoom can still help you out. There's lease agreements. That can be the difference between making money and losing it in a business, a lease agreement. There's always evolving, changing tax laws, reviewing contracts, all play a part in running your own business. Precisely the kinds of costly hurdles take time away from paying attention to what you do and what you know. LegalZoom, a network of independent attorneys and tax pros, address the issues that you don't specialize in. Your life is going to meet legal. Get on it. Go to LegalZoom.com. The promo code is COLIN in the box at checkout for special savings. Not a law firm, not charged by the hour. LegalZoom.
We've seen Rich Eisen running at the NFL Combine for years, raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This year, Walmart e-commerce president and CEO Mark Lohr wanted to step things up by racing Jerry Rice. If Mark loses, he donates $250,000. If Jerry loses, Mark's pal Michael Rubin donates $250,000. So take a look at how it all went down.
We're here in Indy, and Rich reached out to me about helping with St. Jude, and because of our relationship, I'm really glad to be here, be a part of it.
No, it's funny. That's the thing about life. You never know what's around the next corner. No, never would have thought I'd be racing Jerry Rice. Feeling pretty good. We'll see what happens.
Last year, you made a beautiful, wonderful, sizable, generous, there's no other adjectives for it, donation. And we walked off the field, and he goes, I want to make this bigger. I want to make this bigger. I want to get some of my friends involved, but I also want to get some all-time greats involved. I'm like, okay, who do you got in mind? He said, I want to run against Jerry Rice. 5'2". 515? He's got 515. Got you to 525. Look who's making Michael Rubin pay money. Look who did it. Again, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is there to make sick kids better, to help find a cure as part of the research portion of the hospital, and also get kids better when they come by with their families who can just focus all their love and attention on their child because they never see a bill.
Yeah, it's for a great cause, to help kids, help families. I think it's just that to bring awareness.
St. Jude is such an amazing cause. Yeah, I definitely would recommend, even $10, $20, anything. It all adds up.
Congrats to all the people part of that Run Rich Run campaign. Mark Lohr of Walmart, Jerry Rice too, as long as Rich Eisen raised $800,000, gave it to St. Jude's, which is an amazing program, the St. Jude's Research Hospital, Children's Hospital. I've had friends, in fact, my buddy Tom Penn, I think, is on the board there. That's an amazing place, what it does for America, and congrats to all those people who were part of that. And it's good to have you in today. We have the NFL Combine this weekend of what the Run Rich Run program. He's been doing that for years to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. My takeaway is I've never seen this many good offensive linemen. I think 6 will go in the first round. And the size and the ability to run, this is what NFL's becoming. It's spread it out. You got to be able to move. And Jeff Schwartz was an offensive lineman in this league for a long, long time. And he is joining me via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network, 8 NFL seasons. The Combine is interesting, but I want to go back to quarterback. It looks like the Cowboys are going to give Dak the exclusive franchise tag. And I do think it's not the slap in the face of the franchise tag. It's going to give him closer to the number he wants. It's not a public slap in the face, which is, here's $8 million less than Russell Wilson. But is there something behind the franchise tag as you see it?
Well, I think they can't come to a solution. And this is what I've said for a couple of weeks now. This feels very much like a Cousins and Redskins situation where either side is kind of dug in, right? The Cowboys want a certain number of years and Dak wants a certain number of years. And they should have made this work before last season. Because we see teams, the Rams, the Eagles, when they want their guy, they get it done.
Yeah.
And I just have never felt that the Cowboys have been very committed. I'll tell you something really, really odd. When I heard that Mike McCarthy, after a week of having the Cowboys job, had not contacted Dak at all, not via text, not called him, that was very surprising to me because part of the interview, I'd imagine, was, hey, what's your plan for Dak Prescott? What are you going to do with him? And maybe McCarthy said, look, he's maybe not my guy. I want to see what he does in year one of my offense because that made no sense to me. Why a head coach, a quarterback guru would not call his quarterback after he got the job. So I just don't think the Cowboys are quite sold on him at a number of years that Dak wants. And Dak's going to wait it out. Why not? New CBA, Pat Mahomes' new deal. If we play well again, we'll have more suitors. I think both sides are dug in. I think the franchise tag makes sense for both of them, even though they kind of don't want it.
Yeah, and I also think you pointed to something. When you have the quarterback, Carson Wentz or Jared Goff, Garoppolo, you're just going to sign him. You're not Russell Wilson. There was a rumor for an hour he could be a Giant. Seattle signed him. They didn't want him on the market. It tells you something about Dallas that we're a year and a half into this thing now. They're paying everybody except Dak. I want to go to another young quarterback, Tua. He's my favorite quarterback in the draft, although, full disclosure, he's got a medical injury. I get being fearful of that. I get it, but I would roll the dice on him. I think he's that special. What do you make of the rumors out of Washington? They've got Dwayne Haskins, and there are Tua rumors. Do you think they're just manipulation, or do you buy them, Jeff?
I used to never buy these rumors at all. I would just say manipulation, trying to get the Dolphins to trade up, the Lions to move up one spot. But after the Cardinals took Kyler Murray last year and dumped Josh Rosen, I think all of this can be true. I think Ron Rivera might look at himself and say, look, I didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. I don't know the guy very well. Maybe last year during the process, he didn't like him when he was the Panthers coach. And he obviously might be stuck with him, but maybe he's thinking, look, we'll just go to Tua. We'll find a suitor for Haskins. Quarterbacks nowadays on the rookie deals don't make terribly a lot of money to where you're kind of hampered as a franchise. And if they love Tua that much, then I think now coaches, GMs, front office people, they don't care about how it looks to draft a quarterback 2 years in a row very high in the draft. And so I think that Ron Rivera is considering it, but I think in the end, they want to draft Chase Young and they want someone to trade up to get Tua at number 2. I agree with you. I think Tua is a special player, but the injuries are concerned. He's had 3 surgeries in about 13 months, and I can't remember a quarterback prospect coming out that's had that many operations. Now, 2 of them, to be fair, didn't really need to happen, right? They kind of sped up the healing of his ankle, but still, they're surgeries nonetheless. And if you look around the draft, when has there been a quarterback who's been this injured drafted so high?
We believe, we've done our Tom Brady pie several times and amended it. We think it's a 75-25. He's a Patriot. I do think the Titans are interesting because of their O-line, their run game, and they don't really have a quarterback they want to sign long-term. So why not go 2 years Brady? I think there's some value there. But the more I hear about this, the more I feel 70 to 75% Tom's a Patriot. Do you agree or disagree?
Your Brady pie is hilarious. Prize team. I think Brady wants to be loved by the Patriots. He just wants something. He wants Bill Belichick to call him and tell him how great he is and how much he wants him back. And Robert Kraft, he just wants someone to call him and give him love. I think that's what's happening right now. He's loving the FaceTime with Vrabel, being caught by someone in the stands at a basketball game. He's loving all the attention right now. Everyone telling him that it's wasn't his fault last year, which I don't think it was, and he needs weapons. He's the first time in his career he's ever had the opportunity to get love like this in Frenchie. There's nothing like it. I've been through it. It's fantastic. And I think he's soaking this in. I do think there's a concern on the Patriots side about how much or how many years Tom Brady wants on his deal. I would imagine he wants 2 or 3 years, and Belichick probably doesn't want that many years. So I do think the best option for him is to go back to New England. The best option for the Patriots is to re-sign him. But I do think there is a little bit of a holdup with the years. But again, I think Brady just wants some love. He wants Belichick to call him, be like, hey, you're our guy. We want you back. And I just don't think he's had that quite yet.
By the way, just a combine question. The offensive line athletic ability to me is just getting greater and greater. Do you buy the combine? Do you make anything of it?
I think what it does is it helps reinforce what you see on film. So if you have a guy like Wirfs, the offensive lineman from Iowa, right, who looks super athletic on the field, and then you see that he has the best vertical of all time, the best broad jump. He runs a 4.85. You're like, yes, that backs up what I see on film. You have a kid like Becton from Louisville, and I think it just backs up what you see on film. 364 pounds running a 5'1". It's incredible.
It is. It really is. Jeff Schwartz, 8 years in the NFL. One more question. I will say this, and I've been wrong on this. Andy Dalton is now apparently 5 teams are interested in Andy Dalton. So what am I supposed to make of that?
I think it's reliability. I think with Andy Dalton, you know what you're getting from him, right? You're not going to obviously get very high. I think that maybe Super Bowl is not in his future, but he made the playoffs a bunch as a young quarterback when the team was healthy and had some talent and tried to win. And I think that reliability is hugely important when you look at a quarterback, and you know he'll be there each and every week. He's not going to screw up off the field. He's a professional. He's smart. He knows where to throw the ball. He obviously led his team to the playoffs. He's obviously a good leader. Guys vouch for him. I think that is important to teams when looking at quarterbacks. And he checks all those boxes. Is he going to win you a Super Bowl? Maybe, maybe not. But maybe in a good year, you have Jimmy Garoppolo year, right? Everything goes well, and Dalton's in the Super Bowl. He has to make 2 or 3 throws, and you win the whole thing. That's why I think he's being considered by a lot of teams.
Yeah, Jeff Schwartz, good seeing you. Congrats on all your success, and your brothers as well as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. Good seeing you, buddy. Jeff Schwartz, when you're buying a car, the process can be difficult. Go to TrueCar. It's transparency. You'll know what other people paid for the car you're looking at. TrueCar. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, Tom Brady and Julian Edelman kept that free agency speculation going a little bit this weekend at the North Carolina-Syracuse game on Saturday. Cameras were panned over to Edelman, and he started saying he's coming back. There's some debate about what Brady said at the end of this clip.
Yeah.
It's not really debatable. He clearly said he's not.
What? Time out.
I mean, you can. I'm not a certified lip reader.
Joy,
but
you're saying that Tom said he's not?
He just said he's not. He just said he's not.
Why isn't that the lead story in America?
Because people are just, not trying to put words in his mouth, but the words are in his mouth. He said he's not. I mean, he said he's not.
You didn't tell me this before the show.
Watch.
Okay, hold on.
He shakes his head, shaking of the head. He's not.
Why is this not leading the show today?
Because people don't want to speculate, but I'm speculating. He says he's not. Brady, look, we don't know what they were having the conversation about. If you want to put some allegedly on it, allegedly he said he's not. He said it. He didn't seem thrilled with the comment either way. And then they were also caught video chatting with Titans coach Mike Vrabel. This I actually think is the less explosive part of it, because Edelman is clearly trying to get Brady to come back. So
of course.
He's on Edelman's phone video chatting with Vrabel. I know everyone thinks that's a bigger deal because you can clearly see it's Vrabel. Edelman's also selling T-shirts campaigning for Brady to stay. He's saying New England is a Tomocracy. It's pretty good. Hashtag stay Tom. And, he has, the shirts going. I feel like Brady it's like he's been in this relationship for 20 years, They've been through some ups and downs, but mostly it's been good. And you're going through a rough patch, so you're kind of on a break.
Marriages have good and bad years.
And Brady's wearing the lacy dress and going out with those girls at night at the 4-inch heels.
Yeah.
And the Patriots are kind of just grunting on the couch, picking the lint out of their belly button. And then, she's going to walk out the door.
That's right.
And,
she's going on those Vegas trips time and time again.
I'm saying, I don't know. They might just wait a little too long and he leaves. But there is obviously a group of fans that want him to stay.
I hope that wasn't
his teammates clearly want him to stay.
A personal experience where your man was picking lint out of his belly button. That's really a visual.
I felt like it was a good visual of ignoring what's clearly going on in front of you. But that's really what it feels like. So Joe Burrow met with the Bengals at the Combine last week and was vocal about what he expects if he's drafted first overall. Peter King is reporting that Burrow made it clear that he wants Cincinnati to keep wide receiver A.J. Green. Green is set to be a free agent, and reports indicate that the Bengals are planning on giving him the franchise tag if they can't get a long-term deal done.
Well, that's good for Joe Burrow. He's a really good player.
Not great for A.J. Green. He not thrilled about the prospect of getting tagged, but he wouldn't turn down the $18 million salary.
I get players.
If it comes to that.
I do get players not loving it. But as far as alternatives go, it does guarantee you're in the top percentage of players at your position. That's why it was okayed by players.
Right. You're going to get paid. There's just no commitment. But, and listen, I think A.J. Green is a great talent. It would be huge to have him in Cincinnati with Burrow. But he did miss last season with a torn ligament in his left ankle, and he played in 9 games in 2018 with a toe injury and ended the season on the IR.
And we are seeing an explosion of wide receiver talent in college to the pros. The last 3 years have been insane.
Right. Now, I personally would prefer to have A.J. Green over a younger player for Burrow in this spot. You know, obviously, you want to get younger players as well, but having a veteran like A.J. Green, who's a professional, who we have seen what he is capable of when he's healthy, would be huge for him. the contract situation, is just kind of unfortunate because of those injuries. Finally, it's unclear where Jameis Winston will be playing football in 2020. Bruce Arians has been pretty committal about bringing Jameis back, and according to Peter King, it is likely that Jameis will leave Tampa Bay in free agency. King also said he asked around the combine about the fate of Jameis next season. Couldn't find a landing spot for him if he did end up leaving the Bucs.
So who's reporting on this?
Peter King.
Wow. So Peter's basically saying Jameis Winston's going to leave Tampa. Well, if Bruce Arians was on this show, Bruce has been as brutally honest about Jameis as you could be, which is he makes a lot of mistakes.
He loved him and he hated him last year.
This is a thing. So now, this is a really interesting situation. Do you bring him to Chicago behind Mitch Trubisky? Because Jameis is productive. That's a really interesting. Listen, if you're John Gruden in Oakland, Carr does everything except throw the ball over the top. Jameis makes mistakes, but throws the ball over the top.
I think he would be a better fit in Oakland. I don't think that there would be a clamoring from fans to put Jameis in there unless Carr just had a disaster of a start of the season. But I don't understand the move with the Bears. I always say if you have more than one quarterback, you have none.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, who is reportedly has a lot of teams interested in him, for him to go to Chicago and be behind Trubisky, that's just a disaster. It's going to, in a few weeks' time, Trubisky has 3 straight bad weeks, and you have to replace him. It just doesn't. If you're going to stick with Trubisky, just stick with it. But the Jameis situation will be very interesting because one of these free agent quarterbacks is going to end up in Tampa Bay.
I'm still surprised how little we're hearing about Teddy Bridgewater because he's the one more than Cam. Of all these guys out there, Dalton, Mariota, Bridgewater's the one guy I think walks in. If you give him a good O-line, he wins games immediately. I could see him going absolutely to Indianapolis for 2 years and winning 11 games a year. I'm a Bridgewater guy.
Me too. I think of all of the quarterbacks that are able to move
no drama.
Free agency or be traded, he's the one that I would feel most comfortable with walking in and being able to get results.
Good stuff. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
I got to say this. When Michael Jordan, people have amnesia. So when Michael Jordan came into the NBA, I watched him. I didn't have to YouTube it. There was no YouTube. I watched Michael Jordan. He was a ball hog. He got Stan Albright fired. He got Doug Collins fired. He was hard to play with, and he was great. But he couldn't win any playoff games. Couldn't beat the Celtics, couldn't beat the Pistons. That's who he was. Then Phil Jackson came in and said, young man, you want to score a bunch of points or win titles? Then Scottie Pippen arrived, took some of the offensive pressure certain times in transition off him. And over the time, Phil Jackson, as sort of a basketball mentor, made Michael a much better teammate. He was still relentless, but he gave Michael more of a macro view on, let's win titles on this. You can pass the ball. You don't have to score every point. We're better when you score 32, not 48. And it worked. But the initial MJ was hard. He was hard on teammates. He was hard on coaches. He was great. Well, the initial Westbrook has been hard on coaches and hard on teammates, but he's great. This new Westbrook, he deserves credit. Now, it's been a very small sample, but this small ball is a different Westbrook. January alone, he shot 53% from the field. He stopped shooting threes. Before January, he was shooting 43%. January 1 to January 29, he shot 53%. So what's happening is Houston has created an offense, small ball, that the rest of the league is trying to figure out, and it's very difficult on one night of watching tape for coaches, or sometimes less than that. They come into town, you played the night before, you look at some tape, you get a few hours, you try to invest that to your team, and it's just too much, and Houston beats you. Houston had a nice win over Boston over the weekend, and one of the reasons I like Houston in that game, and they knew exactly what they were, they went back and back and back to what they are, and Boston, at the end, kind of tried to mimic a little what Houston is, got a little selfish, and it didn't work. This is the good Westbrook. I have to be honest. Westbrook drives me nuts. But if this is Westbrook and Harden for the next 3 years, this Westbrook I like. This Westbrook is smarter, more efficient. I think this kind of game extends to the playoffs. It's yet to be seen if they face a big center on the floor. But I got to tell you, there are different versions and systems for all players. This style and this Westbrook, I'm good. He's not a shooter, but I've never bought into this thing. If you don't shoot threes, you have no value in this league. Kawhi doesn't. Zion doesn't. I've never bought you have to be a three-ball shooter. You have to be Klay Thompson to be good in this league. This Westbrook, I think, transfers to the playoffs a little bit. It's fun to watch. It's smart. It's efficient. And it's a pain in the rear. You can see what's happening. They on the corner on the Dallas Cowboys, as Jeff Schwartz said, if they wanted him, they'd sign him. Somebody in that building would rather franchise tag him. That's the story. Jane Slater is joining us next. 66. A licensed physician reviews and determines if a prescription's right for you. Right now, my listeners get us started first month free. 4hims.com/Colin. Prescription requires an online consultation with a doctor, he or she, who then will determine if a prescription is appropriate for you. Go to their website. They not only have the details, they have all the safety information. 4hims.com/Colin. The offer is valid only if prescribed. 3-month minimum subscription. 4hims.
Saturday, the groundbreaking inaugural season of XFL football continues as the New York Guardians face off with the Dallas Renegades at 5 Eastern on Fox and streaming on the Fox Sports app.
Jane Slater is, we have her on our Herd Podcast Network. It's called The Boys and Girl Podcast with Jane Slater and Bobby Belt, and she covers the Dallas Cowboys, does brilliantly. And I was first introduced to her work years ago, on the social media stuff. Then she came by, and we were like, wow. She's great. And so we bring her on from time to time. And today is very, very interesting. A lot of these teams find their quarterback, their Russell Wilson or their Carson Wentz, and they'll pay them early. Cowboys are not. Story today, they're going to go exclusive franchise tag, which means we'll pay it for a year and kick the tires. So we're going to bring on Jane via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. Okay, let's start with this. What does Dak's side want? What does Dak's side want, Jane?
They want a deal that's more 4 years aligned with about a $35 million a year price tag. Now, the Cowboys want that deal to obviously be longer, but I'm told the strategy here is for them to have that 4-year deal so that Dak Prescott, in the peak of his career, can come back to the bargaining table. Keep in mind, you've got deals like Deshaun Watson that have to get done, and Patrick Mahomes, and Todd France, his agent, trying to be shrewd here. What I didn't realize was that Dak was actually his first quarterback client, Joe Burrow his second, so possibly trying to make a splash with this particular deal. But I reported this summer they weren't going to take a hometown deal. As Stephen Jones characterized it to us this combine, they had sidelined conversations back in September. Basically, the Cowboys had their side. Todd France and his team had their side. They weren't making any inroads, so they tabled those discussions. Now, it's my understanding they did have talks at Combine. I was told that the goal here is still to get that long-term deal done. But as you are hearing that report coming out today, the Cowboys have also said they're not afraid to use that franchise tag, and that could very well take place here.
We were saying earlier, Tony Romo is going to make $17 million per year to be a Cowboy, to be a broadcaster in the NFL, and Troy Aikman does well, and Michael Irvin. Once a Cowboy quarterback, you are an NFL icon seemingly for life. Roger Staubach, that's just the reality of it. Is Jerry selling that? Would Dak take a little bit of a pinch or a pay cut for that?
It's certainly been part of the campaign rollout. We've heard Emmitt Smith come out and at least say that. And look, I get it. But at the end of the day, this is a business. And even Stephen Jones has said, look, the salary cap is our problem, not Dak's problem. And it isn't Dak's problem. If you look at, Dak was a 4th-round pick. He was 4th on the depth chart when Tony Romo got hurt his rookie season in camp. And he has stepped into that role admirably. Think of all the things that he's been through. He filled in for Tony Romo, galvanized that locker room, took him to the playoffs his first year. He dealt with the suspension of Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games. He had to deal with a wide receiver and then tight end by committee another year. And then think of all the voices that he's had to contend with in the quarterback's room. Wade Wilson, his rookie season. Then he had Kellen Moore, Scott Linehan. Then, of course, he had Kellen Moore and John Kitna. Now he's going to get Doug Nussmeier and Mike McCarthy. So I think what he's done is he's done a good job continuing to be the face of this franchise. He is the same guy on the field as he is off of it. He is a natural leader. Talk to guys in that locker room, both veteran and the young guys that come in. He's the guy that you want. You didn't have a problem paying to Marcus Lawrence and Ezekiel Elliott. Why are you having a problem paying Dak Prescott? That is really kind of the tone and the energy coming from Dak Prescott and his camp. And so I don't anticipate them taking any pay cuts here. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people out there that know Dak, and I'm talking just his own teammates, say pay him. He certainly deserves it.
Is this saying, this franchise tag discussion, Jane Slater of the NFL Network joining us, is it saying that Mike McCarthy, perhaps privately, is not all in on Dak?
Great question. And I also posed a question a few weeks ago, Colin. I said, look, if you guys are making wholesale changes and Mike McCarthy does seem like he's had far more autonomy than Jason Garrett had in years past, why not go all in? Why not throw your name in the hat for the Tom Brady sweepstakes? If you want a proven guy that's going to go win you something and win it now, is Tom Brady the guy that's going to give you the best possibility of that. He's certainly proven it in New England. The response that I got back was no. Mike McCarthy prefers working with a younger quarterback, and he also believes that he can make Dak Prescott a championship caliber quarterback. When I asked him about that, even at the Combine, McCarthy said he saw him live. Of course, when they were playing the Packers in the playoffs, he saw what he is capable of doing. He got to see him from the opposing sideline. He thinks that he has all of the makeup of a guy that can bring a championship to Dallas, and he's the guy that they want to work with. He truly believes that he can make Dak Prescott great. So by all accounts, I've gotten the feedback that Mike McCarthy's all in on Dak. So that's at least been my feedback. I haven't, other than speaking to him on the podium, I haven't had any private discussions with McCarthy on Dak Prescott, but that has been the feedback that I've gotten from those around him.
By the way, you had Dez Bryant on your podcast this week. I don't really get the Dez thing. I didn't think he ran particularly well when he was a Cowboy as last year. This draft is flush with remarkable wide receiver talent, but you had him on. Are the Cowboys going to sign him or look at him?
Look, Colin, I'll be honest. I think a lot of people think I'm part of the Dez Bryant hype machine, a little bit of a homer. And admittedly, yes, I've developed a relationship with Dez. I've gotten to know him past just a reporter-player relationship in the sense that, you know, I've taken the opportunity to get to know Dez away from the football field. And here's what I'll say about him. A lot of people think that this comeback is improbable, but you have to know where he came from. He came from absolutely nothing. He didn't really have any substantial parental figures in his life. There wasn't a lot helping him, even with just his education, to get into Oklahoma State. A lot of people sort of galvanized in the community to get him where he's at. And then you look at him 2 years removed from the Cowboys, and while we were at the facility getting ready to do this podcast, there were people showing up in front of this glass building, throwing up the X and waiting for signatures. There is an energy and there is a sort of iconic status in Dallas as it pertains to him. Now, in terms of the football stuff, he's been completely honest about it. I didn't really pull any punches with him. I said, Dez, there's a couple of knocks on you. One, that you never went to physical therapy. B, are you going to be a bad example for these young receivers when you're not showing up on time? Are you going to take practicing and keeping your body right seriously? He said, absolutely. His daughter came to him and asked him, Daddy, are you going to play football again? And that gutted him. He took it on himself to reach out to Stephen Jones via text and say he wanted him to come see him working out. He said, Stephen Jones, who's typically pretty blunt, and I can raise my hand and also agree with him on that, Steven's not the type of guy that's going to mince words. He gave him optimism, and Dez has been working out at this facility that is literally adjacent to the Star in Frisco, just so that he is that close for the Cowboys to come over and scout him. But he was also honest and realistic. As much as he wants to go back and play for the Cowboys, he said he's open to playing for other teams. And Colin, I have talked to some other coaches around the league who are at least intrigued at the possibility of having them. To his speed, he was honest. He said, Jane, I've never been known for being a fast receiver, but he is a guy that can be a real threat for you in the red zone. It's what Sean Payton saw when he signed him with the Saints 2 years ago. But Dez also admitted he was not in the right headspace when he got cut by the Cowboys. He actually was really dealing with a lot of depression. He said that he has sort of managed that. He's in a better place being around him. I haven't seen him this... There's a levity to him right now, a lightness to him that I hadn't seen in the last couple of years, and he feels very motivated to get back in the league. Now, is he going to follow through on that? We'll see. But I'm telling you, he's showing up to his workouts. Patrick Mahomes was throwing to him at Apex. And then for those that have questions about, is this guy a diva? He's not a diva. I've seen him working out with these young receivers. He's working out with Corey Coleman and then Lil Jordan Humphrey. He was giving them tips, giving them energy in practice. And talking to his wide receivers coach, David Robinson, he said he still needs to work on his burst between the 5 and the 8 yard line. He still needs to work on a couple of things at the top of his routes. He probably has got about 10 pounds to go in terms of getting his body where it needs to be. But in terms of getting there and still staying on the path, I think if a team shows interest in him, gets him back in a facility, gets him back around football, this is a guy I would at least take a flyer on. Yeah. And it sounds like the Cowboys might do that and at least attend one of his workouts.
Jane Slater, great stuff in Dallas. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate that. It's going to be interesting, all those points brought up. It is sometimes in this world, in the NFL, it is what is available to the market. And wide receivers, they say there's going to be 45 to 50 draftable. So it comes down. Can you get a younger, a faster, less costly? I think Dez is somebody I'd pass on, but I'm glad his head's in the right place. Okay, last hour's coming up. I don't remember a Monday that's flown by this quickly. Hour 3 next.
ear.
That very good.
Like this.
Under the fingernails.
Yeah. Avoid doorknobs.
Everything.
People think I'm not a huge doorknob person anyway.
No, all that stuff matters.
So I kind of naturally avoid them as much as I can.
Yeah,
but now people think I'm crazy. I'm like,
No. I mean, we have something going on in the country. People should just wash your hands as much as you can. Totally understandable. If you never did before, now's the time to start.
it's never too late to start doing that.
Yeah, Sirius XM Channel 83 as well. Well, it's contract discussion time. And this has been a story that's been out there for about a year. Dallas played Zeke early and Jalen Smith early, and now here we go. Contract extension time with Dak Prescott. Will he get the long-term deal in Dallas he wants? Let's start there with that. Sometimes we roll our eyes at the Cowboys and Jerry Jones' vanity. I do too. But when it comes to player personnel, Dallas is pretty good with the player personnel. They spot talent, they draft it, they accumulate it. They're pretty good. They don't whiff a lot on their draft picks in the last 5 or 6 years. Credit to Jerry, credit to Stephen Jones, the scouting department. So here's the story this morning. The Dallas Cowboys want to use the exclusive franchise tag on Dak. This is what I would do. It's not the franchise tag. The franchise tag would give him about $27 million a year, and Dak could, talk to other teams. The exclusive franchise tag is different. They're going to pay you $33 million, but you can't negotiate with other teams. And this is why this is really smart, the exclusive franchise tag. Because Dallas knows, hey, on the market, there's not a huge hunger for Dak. We could win this negotiation, give him $27 million, and it's kind of slap in the face. But harmony matters. You don't have to step on everybody's throat in negotiations. Dallas says, no, we're going to get you closer to the number. $5 million extra dollars in Dallas, a state with no state tax, a lot of money. Okay, just $5 million a year is a lot of money. So we're going to get you to $33 million. We don't want you talking with everybody else. We're going to test this thing with Mike McCarthy, but we are going to protect ourselves. Too many people in media, I notice this all the time, they root for players to get paid. I root for teams to be nimble. I don't think you want to overpay on good quarterbacks because then people will be more reluctant to pay on true stars. In the NBA, you should pay LeBron, Giannis. In the NFL, you should pay Russell Wilson, Mahomes. You got to be careful about paying Dak that kind of money. It's not worth it. The last 2 years, we got film. Dak has struggled against every playoff team. He's 4-9. He's got 8 touchdowns and 9 picks. Last year, he was 1-7 against playoff teams with a passer rating of like 82. This offensive line now is getting older, not younger. And we've seen him without a left tackle, without a right guard, without a center for a month. He's not the same quarterback. Okay, I root for Dallas to be nimble. I want Dak to get paid, but this is why it was created. $33 million is closer to the number. It's not a slap in the face. I think you could make an argument the value of Dak at $33 million is still a little higher than I'd want. But it is significantly higher. It gets him a 3 in that first number, not a 2, and Dallas protects itself. But clearly Dallas has concerns because they've paid running backs 2 years early. They've paid linebackers a year and a half early, and they've got concerns. And I'll say it again, the New England loss on the road and that Philadelphia loss on the road, when Brady and Wentz, with scout team guys, with no tight ends, with significantly less, Dak couldn't get a single scoring touchdown drive in either game with significantly better running backs, significantly better wide receivers, a significantly better offensive line. Couldn't get a scoring drive. That flight home from Foxborough, that flight home from Philadelphia with Jerry and Stephen Jones, you sit on that plane and think, we can't get a touchdown? One? Now, if you think it's Jason Garrett's fault and Kellen Moore, what Dallas is saying here is, maybe you're not wrong. And I'm not sure you are wrong. Maybe it is all Jason Garrett. Maybe it is all Kellen Moore. I don't think it is, but I'll give you this. Maybe it's more them than Dak. The Cowboys are saying, all right, give us 1 year with McCarthy and we'll know the answer. And if Dak reverts back to his rookie Dak, we're all in. Because it wouldn't be, if Dak came out this year and was 10-6 and the numbers all go up, then you have a correlation between coach out, new coach in, numbers regain momentum. But the other thing Dallas has going for it, and this is a real thing, Tony Romo signed a deal, $17 million this weekend, to broadcast games. Once a Cowboy quarterback, you are paid for life. Who's our guy? Oh, Troy Aikman. Who'd he play for? Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, 7, 8, 9 years, win some playoff games. Tony Romo, never forget this. You all called him a choker. You all said he couldn't win the big game. Dak's winning percentage is higher than Tony Romo's. The bottom line here, Dallas has leverage. There's not a huge market. $33 million is not a slap in the face. And this is why the exclusive franchise tag was created, not the franchise tag. And I think Dallas could use that. Certainly they could. But this is more harmonious. I've been in 12 contract negotiations in my life. I've never felt like I wanted to walk out of the room and have won every single part of the contract. I like there to be balance. I like my companies to feel good about it too. I think at $33 million franchise tag for a year, it's not a slap in the face. It creates a Dallas team that can still be nimble, and let's come back in 1 year. All right, let me shift to this. LeBron was remarkable yesterday. He's been remarkable for, let me count here, 17 years. How is he not the MVP? He's not going to win it. Giannis is going to win it. Giannis is a better story. He's a good kid. We like him. He's fresh. He's new. We're fatigued on LeBron. I just laugh at this stuff. Let me ask you this. Do assists matter? You know, passing the ball to other people. LeBron leads the NBA. And he's passing to less talented people on average 1 through 9 than Giannis is. LeBron, as a forward, is going to lead the NBA in assists. Giannis is 29th, which is actually fairly low considering he's got some good shooters on that team. His team's more athletic. And frankly, he's double-teamed every time down the floor. Let me ask you this. LeBron James is the number 1 seed in the West, which is significantly better than being the number 1 seed Giannis in the East. Does that matter? And LeBron's doing it, in my opinion, with a less talented roster 1 through 8 or 9 than Milwaukee. How is he not the MVP? By the way, just look at how the primary rival for both players thinks of it. So the Clippers already had Kawhi, already had Paul George, elite wing defenders, top 2 or 3 in the league, already had Patrick Beverley. And the Clippers are like, that's not enough. We're going to go out and get Marcus Morris. Because Kawhi's not enough, George is not enough, Patrick Beverley's not enough. We need a 4th guy to defend LeBron. How did the Celtics look at the Bucks Giannis? Yeah, we know we're going to have to go through Giannis, but we're not really worried about size. We can get rid of Horford. We're going to go small ball East. Knowing they'll face Giannis, they got smaller. What does that tell you? Okay, this league has never run through Giannis. 7 years, 2 playoff series wins in the East. This league for 10 years has run through 2 groups, LeBron James and the Golden State Warriors. How is he not MVP? I mean, Alvin Gentry lost to him again last night and summed it up about as articulately, succinctly, and accurately as you can.
I'm just amazed that they talk about anybody other than him for MVP. You know, that's what he does. Every team that he's been to, every team that he's gone, have a chance to win the championship. I'm not sure what the definition of MVP is, but he makes everybody on his team better, and it makes it difficult for everybody playing.
Too often in the media, we root for what could happen instead of acknowledging what is happening. The Bucks are 5-1 this year without Giannis. The Lakers are unwatchable when LeBron's off the floor. People in LA start talking about Alex Caruso. Nice kid, but look, give me a break. LeBron last night on the floor plus 22. Takes a break, minus 14. This is when you give Westbrook the MVP. You're voting for what could happen. He's going to show Kevin Durant, and he's going to win. And this is, let's acknowledge that LeBron is dominating the league. The Clippers are getting a 4th person to defend him. Unlike the Celtics, who have decided, even though they face Giannis, we'll go small ball. We think we can do it. I don't know. I understand people in the media voting for stories, but it's at some point, I know you're all tired of LeBron. I'll tell you who's tired of LeBron, the Pelicans. He's 4-0 this year, just like he never lost a first-round playoff series like for 8 years in the East in succession. I mean, watch what's happening, not what could happen. LeBron's your MVP again and will be overlooked again. The always entertaining and outspoken TJ Hushmanzada, his thoughts on the NFL weekend. Stories now that Tua is moving up to number 2. We like Tua. So does everybody else, seemingly. That's coming up with TJ Hushmanzada. Computer systems in cars, more sophistication technology-wise, is now the new normal. Electronically controlled transmissions, touchscreen displays to dozens upon dozens of sensors. But all this advanced tech is expensive, and if it breaks, and it will, it is a handful. That's where CarShield comes in, America's #1 auto protection provider. They have affordable plans that save you thousands, so a GPS goes down, electronics, computers, you're saved. With CarShield, you're behind the wheel of your plan. Customized monthly deals with rates as low as $99 a month. You get to choose your favorite mechanic, too. Go to the dealership. You're comfortable with that mechanic? Go to the dealership. 24/7 roadside assistance free. Rental car, yours in the shop free. CarShield. It's helped over 1 million customers. $99 a month, as low as that. So a couple of easy ways to get there. CarShield.com, code HERD, 10% off. Or call this pretty easy to remember number, 800-CAR-6000. 800-CAR-6000, and mention the code HERD. CarShield. M-Drive Everyday Supplement for Men. Go to mdrive.com, code HERD, 20% off. M-Drive's not for everybody. It's for the driven. So it seems to me TJ Hushmanzada, over a decade in the NFL, made a Pro Bowl as well, drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. That very good.
Like this.
Under the fingernails.
Yeah. Avoid doorknobs.
Everything.
People think I'm not a huge doorknob person anyway.
No, all that stuff matters.
So I kind of naturally avoid them as much as I can.
You know,
but now people think I'm crazy. I'm like,
No. I mean, we have something going on in the country. People should just wash your hands as much as you can. Totally understandable. If you never did before, now's the time to start.
it's never too late to start doing that.
Yeah, Sirius XM channel 83 as well. Well, it's contract discussion time. And this has been a story that's been out there for about a year. Dallas played Zeke early and Jalen Smith early, and now here we go. Contract extension time with Dak Prescott. Will he get the long-term deal in Dallas he wants? Let's start there with that. Sometimes we roll our eyes at the Cowboys and Jerry Jones' vanity. I do too. But when it comes to player personnel, Dallas is pretty good with the player personnel. They spot talent, they draft it, they accumulate it. They're pretty good. They don't whiff a lot on their draft picks in the last 5 or 6 years. Credit to Jerry, credit to Stephen Jones, the scouting department. So here's the story this morning. The Dallas Cowboys want to use the exclusive franchise tag on Dak. This is what I would do. It's not the franchise tag. The franchise tag would give him about $27 million a year, and Dak could, talk to other teams. The exclusive franchise tag is different. They're going to pay you $33 million, but you can't negotiate with other teams. And this is why this is really smart, the exclusive franchise tag. Because Dallas knows, hey, on the market, there's not a huge hunger for Dak. We could win this negotiation, give him $27 million, and it's kind of slap in the face. But harmony matters. You don't have to step on everybody's throat in negotiations. Dallas says, no, we're going to get you closer to the number. $5 million extra dollars in Dallas, a state with no state tax, a lot of money. Okay, just $5 million a year is a lot of money. So we're going to get you to $33 million. We don't want you talking with everybody else. We're going to test this thing with Mike McCarthy, but we are going to protect ourselves. Too many people in media, I notice this all the time, they root for players to get paid. I root for teams to be nimble. I don't think you want to overpay on good quarterbacks, because then people will be more reluctant to pay on true stars. In the NBA, you should pay LeBron, Giannis. In the NFL, you should pay Russell Wilson, Mahomes. You got to be careful about paying Dak that kind of money. It's not worth it. The last 2 years, we got film. Dak has struggled against every playoff team. He's 4-9. He's got 8 touchdowns and 9 picks. Last year, he was 1-7 against playoff teams with a passer rating of like 82. This offensive line now is getting older, not younger. And we've seen him without a left tackle, without a right guard, without a center for a month. He's not the same quarterback. Okay, I root for Dallas to be nimble. I want Dak to get paid, but this is why it was created. $33 million is closer to the number. It's not a slap in the face. I think you could make an argument the value of Dak at $33 million is still a little higher than I'd want. But it is significantly higher. It gets him a 3 in that first number, not a 2, and Dallas protects itself. But clearly Dallas has concerns because they've paid running backs 2 years early. They've paid linebackers a year and a half early, and they've got concerns. And I'll say it again, the New England loss on the road and that Philadelphia loss on the road, when Brady and Wentz, with scout team guys, with no tight ends, with significantly less, Dak couldn't get a single scoring touchdown drive in either game, with significantly better running backs, significantly better wide receivers, a significantly better offensive line. Couldn't get a scoring drive. That flight home from Foxborough, that flight home from Philadelphia with Jerry and Stephen Jones, you sit on that plane and think, we can't get a touchdown? One? Now, if you think it's Jason Garrett's fault and Kellen Moore, what Dallas is saying here is, maybe you're not wrong. And I'm not sure you are wrong. Maybe it is all Jason Garrett. Maybe it is all Kellen Moore. I don't think it is, but I'll give you this. Maybe it's more them than Dak. The Cowboys are saying, all right, give us 1 year with McCarthy and we'll know the answer. And if Dak reverts back to his rookie Dak, we're all in. Because it wouldn't be, if Dak came out this year and was 10-6 and the numbers all go up, then you have a correlation between coach out, new coach in, numbers regain momentum. But the other thing Dallas has going for it, and this is a real thing, Tony Romo signed a deal, $17 million this weekend, to broadcast games. Once a Cowboy quarterback, you are paid for life. Who's our guy? Oh, Troy Aikman. Who'd he play for? Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, 7, 8, 9 years, win some playoff games. Tony Romo, never forget this. You all called him a choker. You all said he couldn't win the big game. Dak's winning percentage is higher than Tony Romo's. The bottom line here, Dallas has leverage. There's not a huge market. $33 million is not a slap in the face. And this is why the exclusive franchise tag was created, not the franchise tag. And I think Dallas could use that. Certainly they could. But this is more harmonious. I've been in 12 contract negotiations in my life. I've never felt like I wanted to walk out of the room and have won every single part of the contract. I like there to be balance. I like my companies to feel good about it too. I think at $33 million franchise tag for a year, it's not a slap in the face. It creates a Dallas team that can still be nimble, and let's come back in 1 year. All right, let me shift to this. LeBron was remarkable yesterday. He's been remarkable for, let me count here, 17 years. How is he not the MVP? He's not going to win it. Giannis is going to win it. Giannis is a better story. He's a good kid. We like him. He's fresh. He's new. We're fatigued on LeBron. I just laugh at this stuff. Let me ask you this. Do assists matter? You know, passing the ball to other people. LeBron leads the NBA. And he's passing to less talented people on average 1 through 9 than Giannis is. LeBron, as a forward, is going to lead the NBA in assists. Giannis is 29th, which is actually fairly low considering he's got some good shooters on that team. His team's more athletic. And frankly, he's double-teamed every time down the floor. Let me ask you this. LeBron James is the number 1 seed in the West, which is significantly better than being the number 1 seed Giannis in the East. Does that matter? And LeBron's doing it, in my opinion, with a less talented roster, 1 through 8 or 9 than Milwaukee. How is he not the MVP? By the way, just look at how the primary rival for both players thinks of it. So the Clippers already had Kawhi, already had Paul George, elite wing defenders, top 2 or 3 in the league, already had Patrick Beverley. And the Clippers are like, that's not enough. We're going to go out and get Marcus Morris. Because Kawhi's not enough, George is not enough, Patrick Beverley's not enough. We need a 4th guy to defend LeBron. How did the Celtics look at the Bucks Giannis? Yeah, we know we're going to have to go through Giannis, but we're not really worried about size. We can get rid of Horford. We're going to go small ball East. Knowing they'll face Giannis, they got smaller. What does that tell you? Okay, this league has never run through Giannis. 7 years, 2 playoff series wins in the East. This league for 10 years has run through 2 groups, LeBron James and the Golden State Warriors. How is he not MVP? I mean, Alvin Gentry lost to him again last night and summed it up about as articulately, succinctly, and accurately as you can.
I'm just amazed that they talk about anybody other than him for MVP. You know, that's what he does. Every team that he's been to, every team that he's gone, have a chance to win the championship. I'm not sure what the definition of MVP is, but he makes everybody on his team better, and it makes it difficult for everybody playing.
Too often in the media, we root for what could happen instead of acknowledging what is happening. The Bucks are 5-1 this year without Giannis. The Lakers are unwatchable when LeBron's off the floor. People in LA start talking about Alex Caruso. Nice kid, but give me a break. LeBron last night on the floor plus 22. Takes a break, minus 14. This is when you give Westbrook the MVP. You're voting for what could happen. He's going to show Kevin Durant, and he's going to win. And this is, let's acknowledge that LeBron is dominating the league. The Clippers are getting a fourth person to defend him. Unlike the Celtics, who have decided, even though they face Giannis, we'll go small ball. We think we can do it. I don't know. I understand people in the media voting for stories, but it's at some point, I know you're all tired of LeBron. I'll tell you who's tired of LeBron, the Pelicans. He's 4-0 this year, just like he never lost a first-round playoff series like for 8 years in the East in succession. I mean, watch what's happening, not what could happen. LeBron's your MVP again, and will be overlooked again. The always entertaining and outspoken TJ Hushmanzada, his thoughts on the NFL weekend. Stories now that Tua is moving up to number 2. We like Tua. So does everybody else, seemingly. That's coming up with TJ Hushmanzada. Computer systems in cars, more sophistication technology-wise, is now the new normal. Electronically controlled transmissions, touchscreen displays to dozens upon dozens of sensors. But all this advanced tech is expensive, and if it breaks, and it will, it is a handful. That's where CarShield comes in, America's #1 auto protection provider. They have affordable plans that save you thousands, so a GPS goes down, electronics, computers, you're saved. With CarShield, you're behind the wheel of your plan. Customized monthly deals with rates as low as $99 a month. You get to choose your favorite mechanic, too. Go to the dealership. You're comfortable with that mechanic? Go to the dealership. 24/7 roadside assistance free. Rental car, yours in the shop free. CarShield. It's helped over 1 million customers. $99 a month, as low as that. So a couple of easy ways to get there. CarShield.com, code HERD, 10% off. Or call this pretty easy to remember number, 800-CAR-6000. 800-CAR-6000, and mention the code HERD. CarShield. M-Drive Everyday Supplement for Men. Go to mdrive.com, code HERD, 20% off. M-Drive's not for everybody. It's for the driven. So it seems to me TJ Hushmanzada, over a decade in the NFL, made a Pro Bowl as well, drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. It seems to me that if you had a quarterback and you liked him, Jimmy Garoppolo, Wentz, Russell Wilson, you would sign him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the position where, and it's not the only position, but if you like somebody, get him early. And the theory has always been, TJ, it'll hurt for 2 years, but the last 2 to 3, you feel like you're getting a discount with the Carson Wentz. So Dallas has paid everybody, and they haven't paid Dak. Aren't they telling me, we like him, we want 1 more year with McCarthy to see if we love him?
They're not sold. If Patrick Mahomes was a Cowboys quarterback, they would be saying, when do you want to sign this contract?
Right.
When Russell Wilson told Seattle, if you don't give me a contract extension by this day, I'm not re-signing.
Yeah, that got worked out quick.
It happened really fast. And so with Dak Prescott, it's no. And so for me, they like him, but they don't love him. And that's just the nature of the business. They're not sold on him because if this was Patrick Mahomes, contract would be done.
I said it this year. That New England game and the Philadelphia game, they go on the road, have significantly better offensive personnel, and in both instances, 0 scoring touchdown drives. I think, Jerry gets on that 3-hour flight home with Steven after that New England game, and he's like, we got Zeke and Amari and an O-line, and then Philadelphia, Carson Wentz has scout guys. And it feels like they were leaning long-term deal. And then that Philadelphia-New England game, they get home and go, we either got to get a new coach or a new quarterback. We're not going to do both, and they made a choice. That's what it feels like to me.
I'm sure those games made them pause and say, we can't score. We can't score a touchdown.
8 quarters, no touchdown drive.
And so I'm sure that gave them a reason to sit back and reflect and say, hey, something's wrong here. Either we got the wrong quarterback, we got the wrong offensive staff, we got the wrong head coach. You can't really get rid of all the players, but you can get rid of a coach. If he doesn't rebound and play similar to how he did his rookie year and some of his second year, they're going to have to move on and find another quarterback. For me, I'm signing Dak. I like Dak as a quarterback. I think he's earned his another contract. Now, the amount that he's earned is very debatable, but I believe he's earned it.
Yeah, this exclusive franchise tag would be $33 million a year. A franchise tag without the exclusivity is $27 million. It feels like to me Dallas is saying, we're not trying to publicly embarrass you. We'll get you close to the number you want, but we're not giving you 4 years. Because they could just franchise tag him, and he could be out in the market and negotiate. I don't think he has a huge marketplace, but they're Jacksonville. We got teams out in this league that don't know. By the way, Joy's got an unbelievable Herdline News today. One of her best. I haven't seen it yet, but the 2 stories in there, you got to stick around for it. So, but for the record, players don't love this franchise tag stuff, do they? They don't love it.
Players, if you're in Dak's position, you don't love it, but when he sees a game check, he's going to be like, oh, wow.
Now, tell the audience how you are paid in the NFL.
You get paid every Monday.
For the whole year?
No. You get paid every Monday, just the football season.
So his checks are going to be monstrous.
At franchise tag is $33 million.
And there's no state tax in Dallas.
Man, Dak is going to be seeing you think he made, I believe, $2 million last year.
So his game checks could be $2 million.
Every game check. And this is every Monday. And when I played, I'll never forget it. I was making league minimum, and I thought I was rich. I was getting $9,000 a week. And at the time, the Bengals didn't have direct deposit, so it was a real check, right? And so there would be vets that were making big money, and they would just come show you the check and be like $457,600. I'm like, oh,
that would inspire me.
It did inspire me. I was like, oh, I got to get this. And then I, in turn, did the same thing to young guys when I was getting those checks. And it's just inspiration. This is something you work for and you can get here. Guys did it to me. And so with Dak, he's going to see that first check and he's going to be like, oh, wow. But guys that have made big money, you don't want the franchise. With a guy like Dak, you embrace it because you believe in yourself. You're young enough. And I'm going to just keep hitting you on top of your head if you don't want to pay me.
Yeah. $2 million game checks would be nice. And by the way, Dallas is not an inexpensive city, but with no state tax, it is a far cry from a New York or a Los Angeles. You can buy quite a home off one game check.
I'm telling you, he's going to see that check and he's going to be like, wow. Well, he'll see the direct deposit part of it. Still the same thing. And he's going to be blown away.
Okay. So, there was a story this weekend with Brady and Edelman were at a basketball game and they're saying a bunch of stuff. And then there's a piece of video where somebody was, in this day and age, is taking a picture of Edelman talking to Mike Vrabel. And what was TJ Hushmanzada's takeaway on this?
Edelman knows it's done.
Well, what do you mean it's done? What's done?
Unless New England just comes to the table with so much more money than they've offered, he knows Brady is gone. And he's hoping that they come to the table with more, but he knows it. And that's why the T-shirt and that the public display of Vrabel and Tennessee has been a team that would be interested in Brady. They know it's over. And
wow.
Edelman knows it. Tom knows it. New England knows it. They just don't know how to separate. And for me, unless I said it on here, I believe you guys were gone. It's 0% chance. It's a 0% chance he goes back to New England.
That is. You should leave at least 0.5% open.
I'll say 0.5% if they offer him $30 million a year, which they're not going to do.
That is very strong. You come in with strong opinions on this show.
I'm going to be right about this, unless they come with over $30 million a year.
Boy, the day you're right on this, you can just come and mock me.
0% chance. I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe that to be the case.
Well, that's why we bring you on the show. You feel strongly about it. I do think Tennessee makes a lot of sense. Star running back, top 10 O-line, Mike Vrabel, GM's a Patriot.
Good receivers.
Yeah, they have all the stuff that Tom, I said this. When people change jobs, and you can go to yourself for this, I know this is the way it's worked in my life. When you change a job, what you really do, and you can sometimes let the pendulum swing too much, but I've done this. You want to solve the number one complaint at your old job. That's what you want to do. You try to solve this. So, for instance, Brady's number one complaint is, I got no weapons. It's not money. Well, they got a running back, and they got a speed receiver, and Adam Humphries, a slot receiver, and Corey Davis, a third receiver. And Tennessee, by the way, with Vrabel, it would be another thing New England's not. It would be a little lighter and more fun.
Go to that playoff game. You don't think Mike Vrabel is thinking if we had Tom Brady over Ryan Tannehill that we beat the Kansas City Chiefs? You don't believe he thinks that? You don't believe with 8 in the box, the Chiefs were single high safety pretty much the majority of the game. They came out, tried to play 2 high safety, thinking Tennessee would. They literally were single high. Tom Brady is going to eat that up. That's pitch and catch. That's routes on air. And so Vrabel knows if we have 12 back there, we would have gone to the Super Bowl this past year.
Wow. Then, well, they solved some issues. It's a little more fun. He's got his buddy, Mike Vrabel. So you and I are on different sides. I can't wait to see the conclusion. Sometimes I don't mind being wrong. Joey and I have said this. We root for mayhem. Tom Brady to the Titans, and then who goes to New England? I'll be honest. That's a good week of shows for me.
And it will, everybody, who deserves a credit? Belichick or Brady?
Now,
who was more important?
Where does New England go? Jameis Winston, according to a story, Joy Today. They're out on Jameis Winston in Tampa.
Wow.
Teddy Bridgewater's out there. I like Teddy Bridgewater. Andy Dalton's out there. So, okay, now we've talked about this. Solve the New England dilemma. Who would you take? Because I think Bridgewater's high IQ, low mistake, limited downfield thrower, but that's what New England has now in terms of weapons. Limited downfield receivers.
If I'm New England, I will look into Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if the cost will be worth it. Or I look at Andy Dalton. And I say Andy Dalton because he's smart. He played in that type of weather, being in the AFC North, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that he's played in bad weather. Brady's a smart guy. That offense is complicated. Andy Dalton, from everybody that I've talked to, is very smart. And so that would fit. Andy Dalton doesn't have a big arm, that he's going to throw the ball short anyway. That fits the offense that they've run with Brady.
It does.
And so I say Andy Dalton, not Bridgewater, just because Bridgewater wants to get paid. He hasn't been paid. He wants to get paid.
Yeah. Andy Dalton stories. NFL Combine this weekend. My only observation, big guys are faster than ever. Some of those O-linemen, I can't even believe it. Some of these O-linemen weighing 325 are running 4.88s. I don't even understand.
Even the brothers, the D-linemen from, I believe it was Nebraska. Them dudes 310 running 4.8s and 4.7s. Like 310 pounds.
Do you have a combine story? Do you so what year was the combine for you? You didn't get invited to it, or you did?
2001. It's so different now. Like now it's on TV. In the way they do it, it's an event. It's like the draft now.
No, it's addictive to watch. I sat and watched it. It's addictive.
And so it's so, like, that's why, like, if you get invited to the combine, you work out because it's an event now. And they make it almost like it's the draft below the Super Bowl. They make it an event that when we were doing it, it was, you go take the Giants, they give you like a big old phone book of a test. And you know, I'm old now. People don't even know what a phone book is now. But it's completely different. Just the whole environment, the atmosphere. Interviews are capped at, I believe it's 15 minutes. The way they do things now is completely different, but it's what you said. The kid from Iowa, for him to move like that and jump like that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it definitely, my prediction on this draft has been a lot of offensive tackles in the first round, and then mid-second round on, it's wide receivers, 6 around, 7 around.
You're going to get arguably a first-round wide receiver in the third round.
Yeah.
And it's just too many good ones.
There's too many good ones. That's why I say Judy, the kid from Alabama, is a first-round pick. I would be very cautious on drafting any wide receiver after Judy for about 40 picks. I think there's so much duplicity. Is duplicity the right word? There's so much duplication potentially in this draft at wide receiver. I've never it's funny because I have friends who do this for a living. They're scouts, and they're all saying the same thing. There's like, you may get a starting receiver in the 5th or 6th round. You may find a guy that walks into your team and starts in the 5th or 6th round.
If you know what you're looking for, rarely should a receiver bust. If you really know what to look for in a receiver and how to create separation, the guys that cannot create separation are the guys that are, I don't care how fast you are, if you cannot stop and decelerate and separate, you're going to fail.
Yeah. TJ Husmanzada, good seeing you, buddy.
Thank you. The same.
Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, so we're all on Brady watch, and Tom Brady and Julian Edelman were at the North Carolina-Syracuse game on Saturday.
They were.
The cameras panned over to them. Edelman started saying he's coming back. There's a lot of speculation about what Brady said afterwards. They have got the advanced audio on the video,
What?
so here it is.
He's coming back. He's coming back. This is crazy. What'd you tell Boeheim? You got it.
He said he's got it.
I was going to say, he didn't say he's not.
No.
He's
so
got
I'll stick
it.
to my day job. I'm not a professional lip reader.
Because
But
the reason
this is what free agency is. It's just delicious. We follow every little breadcrumb.
the reason you can get this audio is because they went back and got it from the camera, which is about 1.5 feet away.
Right.
Because people will say, well, how come you can't get audio of this and that? That's the audio from the actual camera. Can I hear it one more time?
Yeah, let's play it one more time.
Just play it up. Crank it up one more time. Here we go. One more time. Crank it up.
He's coming back. He's coming back. This is crazy. What'd you tell Boeheim? You got it.
So someone asked him, would you tell Boeheim? And he responded, he's got it. But obviously, if you don't have the audio, it looks only like he's responding to Julian Edelman, because he kind of is responding to Julian Edelman with his facial expression and shaking the head. It's great. Anyway, then they were also caught FaceTiming Mike Vrabel, and yeah, it's free agency. This is the mayhem that we look for. Like this is great.
Well, I mean, Kyrie and Kevin Durant talked in a hallway at an All-Star game, and it sent the world.
And everyone screamed that it was nothing.
And it was something.
And it was something. And this is something, too. We'll see what happens. So it's unclear whether Jameis will be playing where he will be playing football in 2020. Bruce Arians.
Look at Joey's got breaking Joey.
Well, I'm not breaking it. I'm just telling you guys. Bruce Arians has been non-committal about bringing Jameis back. According to Peter King, it's likely Jameis will leave Tampa Bay in free agency. And now, according to Mike Sando of The Athletic, they're reporting that an anonymous GM said the Bucs are hot on Teddy Bridgewater.
Go get Bridgewater. By the way, we just talked about when you go somewhere new, you solve the one problem you have. What are the Bucs driving them nuts? Turnovers.
Right.
What does Bridgewater not do? Turn it over. So Teddy Bridgewater comes in. Teddy's the opposite of Jameis.
Yeah.
You don't get the big arm, but you don't get the mistakes. You get unbelievable maturity. He's the antidote for Jameis Winston.
I love Bridgewater here.
this.
I love him in a lot of places, but I really think this would be a really good spot for him.
This is first of all, Teddy doesn't need Mike Evans over the top. Their offensive personnel is fine. Their issue, and they got a good tight end they got outside receivers.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, I'm not going to say you can't, but it's very difficult to overcome that many mistakes.
I love this move by Tampa. I am signing off on this move by Tampa.
You approve this?
I think it changes their franchise. I think Teddy Bridgewater makes me think they can compete for the division. Absolutely.
Listen, we've talked very highly of Teddy Bridgewater. What he did for his career this year filling in for Drew Brees and keeping the Saints afloat throughout that season, which looked like it was going to be a disaster when Brees got injured, was incredible for him. He's going to end up being a starting quarterback for a franchise that really needs that stability, and this will be a great spot for him.
Boy, you've had a good herd line so far. Are you done?
Thank you. Nope, I got a little more for you.
Hold on.
1 year after giving Nick Foles a 4-year, $88 million deal.
Wow.
The Jags could be moving off him. Jacksonville reportedly wants to turn to Gardner Minshew as the starter in 2020 and ideally would trade Foles.
Well, no, not with that contract. That contract is can you get I don't want to have to pay that Nick Foles
I mean,
deal.
it's a very big deal, but that's why I'm just confused as to what the plan is here. I mean, listen, Gardner Minshew did a fine job. He's fine. I mean, we all got caught up in Minshew mania. It was a fun story, but he went 6-6 as a starter. He's okay. Now, if you're looking to develop him, that's fine, but I don't know why you do that after giving Nick Foles a 4-year, $88 million contract.
I think Minshew is a better mover. Yeah, I've told you this. I think Minshew is Baker Mayfield.
They're very similar.
I think Baker's got a better arm. I think they look alike. They played with the same college offense. Their numbers were very similar. Minshew played with less talent. Minshew is Baker. He's just played with less collegiate and professional talent.
But you're also not paying him anything.
That's
so
right.
What's the point of trying to trade Nick Foles other than getting rid of the money that you just gave to him? Nick Foles did win a Super Bowl. It's not like Nick Foles is
No.
terrible. Neither one of us agree with that contract, but you pay a guy what you got to pay him according to the market. What do you need a quarterback? That's why he got that contract. It's not Nick Foles' fault he got that contract.
Well, we said, didn't we say it was a crappy contract?
I mean, it's not a great contract, no, but
$22 million.
what are you going to do? Is
don't
Nick
know.
Foles that much better? I mean, Gardner Minshew that much better than Nick Foles?
At the price, absolutely.
Right, but who's taking that contract?
I don't know anybody that would.
And Gardner is very inexpensive.
But the Brock Osweiler deal, John just said in my ear, you give a pick to take it. We'll give you a pick, take our contract. I just don't think there's a market for Nick Foles at all for that money.
I mean, I don't either for that money. I just don't understand. You did this a year ago. What happened? Gardner Minshew was fine, but it wasn't that dramatic of a swing in talent.
Wow.
That you would 1 year later move off of Nick Foles. But I guess that they want to move forward with Gardner Minshew.
Well, they don't have to pay Gardner anything, so they like that. That's what they like.
Yes.
I think that's your greatest herd line ever. You had breaking audio, then you had a Teddy Bridgewater story, and a Gardner Minshew. Let's hear it for Joy. Greatest herd line news ever. Literally everybody here.
I'm starting the week off strong.
That was an incredible. You literally were like, seriously. You could take 4 days off at this point. We would just be like, you know what? This doesn't even matter.
See you next week.
All right, Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
This quarterback stuff, it's all moving.
It's delicious.
Coming up, Hua or Tua? It's his birthday today. I'll put all the quarterbacks out there. You know I love him. Who would I take over Tua? Who would I take Tua over? Hua or Tua on his birthday next. When's the last time you were driving and the weather got really bad and you're like, I am so relieved that I have lousy windshield wipers? Of course, you have never said that. Nobody ever has said that. Driving in bad weather is tough enough. Thanks to the new Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades, it's much easier. They last through everything. They've got QuadTech 4-layer coated silicone, and that repels snow and water, and it can repel ice and hail, last 2 times longer than other blades. They tested these wipers on a 16,000-mile trip from Alaska to Argentina. The Michelin Endurance XD silicone wiper blades are real world and real weather proven for extreme performance. Get them at Walmart. World record breaking trip. They put him to the desert. They put him through heat. They put him through tundra. How could they handle it? Would they be durable? They were. Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades passed the test. Oilers, Preds, today's Discover Car Key matchup, discover.com/yes. 95% of places in the U.S. take it. Limitations apply. Discover matches all the cash back you earn first year. All right, we're going to play against Tua's birthday today, Joy.
He's 22 today.
Joy decided to come back for the segment, even though she just had the greatest herdline in the history of herdline news. And he's 22nd. Now, we're going to play a game called Hua or Tua. You'll give me Tua for the next 10 years. Who would I take as quarterback? Now, obviously, there is a qualifier that he mostly stays healthy. I'm not saying Tua has to play every game for a decade, but I'm going with he'll get dinged up here and there. He'll miss games.
No more catastrophic injuries.
That's right. So, again, if Tua gets hurt, then, and I don't know it, but he's been cleared. My guess is he plays 85% of the games next 10 years. If that's the case, who would I take for the next 10 years? Here we go.
Okay. Would you rather have Tua or Dak Prescott?
Tua's a much more natural thrower of the football. They're both similar athletically, but I think his accuracy is my number one concern with Dak. So I would take Tua over Dak Prescott. That's a pretty easy one for me over the next 10 years.
Tua or Carson Wentz?
I think Carson Wentz is the closest thing to Patrick Mahomes, though he is not Patrick Mahomes. Size, arm strength, arm angles, I would take Carson Wentz over Tua.
Tua or Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones is better than I predicted. I saw him as a borderline first-round pick. He is straight-line athletic like an Alex Smith. But in terms of natural thrower and talent, Tua was the number one high school quarterback in the country, was great the second he started. I would take Tua over Daniel Jones.
How about Tua or Aaron Rodgers?
Now, you're talking 10 years here, and Aaron is 35. Aaron's had a couple of injuries. My guess is that the Packers are going to address their offensive line issues in the next 2 years. And I also think Matt LaFleur's system takes Aaron out of the crosshairs physically. He didn't get hit a ton this year. So I would say Aaron Rodgers, though I think he's probably only going to play about 6 of those 10 to 7. But I would take Aaron as just a fundamentally a unique all-time arm talent.
Well, I think we know what this one is, but Tua or Matthew Stafford?
I would take Tua. Now, again, this is not that Matt Stafford can't play, but Matt now is on the back nine, comes off an injury, and we have not seen Matt be able to sort of carry a team. Again, this is not saying Stafford doesn't have talent, but next 10 years, I don't think Stafford's in this league after about year 5.
Tua or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Garoppolo's got Kyle Shanahan with him, so that will alleviate or put a blemish. It'll put makeup on any of his blemishes, so I'd take Garoppolo. Now, I like Garoppolo way more than everybody else, and I do think I have to consider everything. Both Garoppolo and Tua have been hurt, so the chances are probably the same of an injury. The difference is I don't think Tua will ever land with an offensive coach as good as Kyle Shanahan because I don't think one exists.
Tua or Russell Wilson?
Well, this is, I wouldn't take Mahomes as the only quarterback in the league I would consider taking above Russell Wilson, so I would take Russell Wilson here easily. Not really that close.
Tua or Kyler Murray? You like Kyler Murray?
I do like Kyler. I worry about Kyler because he is such a gifted runner, getting dinged. He got whacked a couple of times in that Saints game. I would go Tua here. Again, this is the qualifier in all this is Tua does not have, as you put, a catastrophic injury. If Tua averages 13 to 14 games, I'm okay with that because I think he'll win you 10. That's how much I like him.
Tua or Sam Darnold?
Tua's a more natural thrower, and I think he'll end up somewhere that's less dysfunctional as the Jets. Breaks my heart, but I would say Tua.
Tua or Josh Allen?
Oh, that's a toughie. Josh Allen has an unbelievable arm, is a bigger, stronger athlete. And I love Sean McDermott. God, that's a toughie. But you know what? Josh Allen is still not as naturally gifted as a thrower.
You love Tua.
I think he's really good. I think I'd take Tua.
Tua or Baker Mayfield?
This is not real. Again, accuracy to a maturity to a size is the same. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pick on Baker, but Tua to me is never been a walk-on. He was the best high school quarterback in the country, and until this injury, he was the best college quarterback. I've never seen Tua fail. So, I've never seen him have a losing streak.
Tua or Patrick Mahomes?
Well, Patrick's currently the most dynamic player. He's the Zion without an injury history, so Mahomes is MVP for the next 10 years, probably 7 times.
Would you rather have Tua or Derek Carr?
Tua, although I think we both think that Derek Carr is better than people think. You know, it should be noted, just to throw this out there, that Derek Carr completed 70% of his throws, and they didn't really have a dependable number 2 receiver. So I like Derek Carr. I think he's closer to like a Kirk Cousins than he is, the next level. But, yeah, I take Tua over Derek Carr.
Tua or Joe Burrow?
Tua. Now, again, the qualifier is health. If Tua goes down year 1 injury, we say this all the time. Like I've always said, I'd take Zion over Ja Morant, barring a catastrophic injury, which I can't predict and nobody can. I don't think just because you've been hurt in college, you will be hurt in the pros. But if you're telling me as a quarterback skill set, I like the accuracy and leadership of Tua.
Would you rather have Tua or Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence. I don't think there's anything on the market like Trevor Lawrence. It's funny. He loses to an all-time great team, LSU. Everybody's like, it's got a bunch of... It's his first loss as a collegian, and he lost to what we're starting to believe was maybe the best single-year college team ever. If you look at what they accomplished, the LSU team is the best college team ever. If you look at terms of they beat 7 top 10 teams. Do I think it helps they played the championship in basically a home game?
Not their fault.
Yeah, not their fault, but Trevor Lawrence is all-time stuff.
All right, Tua or Justin Fields?
I think Justin Fields is special. I would say Justin Fields. I think next year, I really want to watch Justin keep growing and growing and growing. I think we've all made our mind up on Trevor Lawrence. I think there's a lot of people that haven't seen... you haven't seen as much Justin Fields. Let's see another 13 starts, but I like him a lot. I really like him a lot. Yeah, the Tua thing is everybody's got a quarterback they like. I never feel bad. Somebody this weekend, I forget who it was saying, Cowherd, a year ago he had Dwayne Haskins #1. Now he wants to sell him. I've always said my rule in life, don't try to be right, get it right. If you bring a guy in like Josh Rosen, who I thought, it's interesting, and it doesn't work after 9 games, then get it right and go get Kyler Murray. Dwayne Haskins, to me, I said this before. I said the kid needs a year. He's not ready to start. He's not. And I was right. He's not ready. Now, my takeaway on him is I didn't see anything I liked. I didn't think Kyler Murray was quite ready either, and good God, first game, 4th quarter overtime against Detroit, he was 20 of 29. He was magic. So I've never had a problem being wrong on it. But once you identify, don't be stubborn and rigid. Like once you identify, I whiffed on that. Get out of it.
Well, you
Move
are
off
allowed to change your opinion based off of new information.
Real general managers took Tebow in the first round. I hated him. Jamarcus Russell, Christian Ponder. These are guys I didn't like. I thought Baker was a reach at a 1. Real general managers who still have jobs have missed. I have no problem saying with Dwayne Haskins. I thought he was a franchise guy, and there were 7 teams that needed a quarterback, and I'm like, grab him, let him sit for a year. But in Washington, they jammed him into playing, and he was overwhelmed completely. So he won 2 games. In both games, the starting quarterback, Cam and Stafford, were out. So there you go. Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades, real world proven. Get them at Walmart. Last 2 times longer. And M Drive's an everyday supplement for men with drive. Go to M Drive for Men. The code is HERD. 20% off your first purchase. M Drive. It's not for everybody. It's for the driven. Coming up next, speak for yourself. Loaded Monday. Fun show. See you tomorrow. Chris Broussard, Jeff Schwartz, Jane Slater, and TJ Hushmanzada all on the show today. Interesting. So Houston's a team before the season started. I said, I'm not really into them. I think Westbrook and Harden won't work, and it wasn't really working. They were